Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 663rd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call we have James and Justin. Matty and the lads go live on YouTube from 8 o'clock most Sunday evenings. The ad-free Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Hello to everybody listening through the week. It might be on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Sports Social. Don't forget to leave a review on the podcast player of your choice. Throughout the entire summer, never mind May, June, July, the entire summer, nothing less than 5 stars is acceptable. The chat's filling up fast. We've got 339 in there already. They want to talk about what went on at the weekend. Well. What a strange evening it was last night. Oh, my word. Strange setting and the card. The card was okay. The main event was very strange. We'll be talking about the Egyptian undercard later. Bit of Shiraz, bit of Catchel, bit of Frank Sanchez, the KO King. Next week's action as well includes Oshaki Foster, Adam Azim. I think Dimitri Bivol's in action as well next week. Loma's returning. We'll talk about that. And there's a few on this week's to reminisce about as well. But let's start with the main event last night. I take it everybody has seen it. Oleksandr Usyk scraping out an 11th round KO over Rico Verhoeven. The kickboxer, they said, had no chance. Justin, I've seen a few explanations about this. I've seen a few opinions on the internet, people having their say. Did he take him lightly? Who knows? Rico performed better than expected. Maybe his performance was enhanced, you might say, not casting any aspersions there. His awkward style caused issues, etc., etc. Break down what you saw go down last night in Egypt.
You could probably say it's a little of all of that. But I don't think Usyk is the kind of guy that would actually take anybody lightly. He's never shown that that's kind of the guy he is, that he would just be like, oh, I'm going to just half-ass this. But Usyk did not look in the best shape as he usually does. Maybe it was just me. He was already breathing hard after a round or two. Usyk doesn't. He just didn't seem like he was fully conditioned for that fight. Rico looked like, he was just chiseled. But he always kind of looks like that. So I don't really say he was enhanced, because if you go back and watch some of his kickboxing, and I've seen some of his kickboxing, that's the way he always looks. The guy's always in ridiculous shape. That's just his thing. I think part of it is that Vhovven was definitely better than people thought. I think people didn't really give him a lot of respect for what he's done in kickboxing. The man is like the he is he's a Hall of Fame elite kickboxer. A lot of these MMA guys that come over, that fight heavyweight, like Igado was good, but he wasn't like the best heavyweight of all time. He wasn't this UFC elite unstoppable fighter. A lot of these UFC guys are like decent fighters, and they're not the best of that sport. Vhovven is the best of his sport. He is the elite. So I think that had to factor in a little bit of it too. Like you said, he had a really weird style, and it amazed the hell out of me that Usyk could not land that uppercut perfectly, because he was just hunched over for that uppercut. It was right there. And Usyk he landed it a couple of times, but he didn't throw it as much as he probably should have, because it was right there for the taking. Vhovven, Rico had no way to stop that. He was so leaned over. It was a weird fight. I think the fact that he landed as much as he did surprised people, because he landed a lot of really good shots in that fight. He just didn't have Usyk's got a good chin, and I don't think he's trained enough as a boxer to be able to turn his punches over properly to get the full extension on him as a guy who trains in boxing would. But he landed a lot more shots. He busted up Usyk. He pushed him back. It's not a good look for Usyk. This is almost like Igado Fury won. This fight played out the exact same way that Igado and Fury played out.
Landed a few right hands, didn't they?
Yeah, it makes Usyk, now you got to question, is he slippy? I think you could say Usyk slippy. I don't think he's fought off a cliff. But last night, I don't give a shit whatever excuse you try to give Usyk, he did not look he didn't look good. He just could. It looked like he didn't look good. He wasn't as fluid. He wasn't as crisp as he usually is. He couldn't get off the way he does. He was slow. It's just he was taking more punches than I've never seen him take this many shots before, ever. We're talking about going back to the Olympics when he started as a cruiserweight. This was an ugly-ass performance by Usyk. He's lucky as hell that they bailed him out, because a lot of people had Rico winning that fight. I think most people had him up or at least it was either tied or he was up. They called it after the bell already rang, which I think they should have let him go to the freaking quarter. That's the stupidest shit in the world. They were desperate for him not to win that. At that point, when it got to like round 9 or 10, I honestly was like, let's go Rico. Fuck this stupid clown shit we always do with these stupid fights. Get him. I was like, knock him out. Get Usyk. Get him. I mean, Usyk didn't deserve to win. This guy actually put a better effort together. I was going for him to win. Like, screw him. Get him. This would have been funny as hell. I thought it'd been funny as hell if Rico would have won. That would have been like a spit right in the face of all these people.
It would have been insane, Justin, man.
It would have been.
Twice. He beat Fury twice. He beat Dubois twice. And he loses to this sort of ungainly looking, herky-jerky style kickboxer. That would be insane.
Here's the question for everybody listening. Did he give Usyk his toughest fight? It's very close with Fury. Him and the first Fury fight are very close. I think Rico gave him a tougher fight than Fury did at times. Because you could tell Usyk, if you looked at his quarter, they were basically telling him, you got to knock him out. Like, you've got to go for him. And Usyk, after like round 10 or 9 or 10, you could tell he was on his face. He come out the quarter and he was like, yeah, I got to go for this. I've got to knock him out. Who the hell would have thought when this fight was made that Usyk in the 9th or 10th round, his quarter would be like, you have to stop him. You have to stop this 40-some-year-old, like almost 40-year-old kickboxer, or you're going to lose the heavyweight title. Also, I'm going to go with the Wilder theory. Usyk was wearing that stupid-ass outfit to the ring, which I told you somebody would dress up, and the damn thing was like falling off his head. He couldn't get the damn shoulder pads to stay on, which made him look stupid as hell anyway.
Do you think he bought it off one of them Egyptian salesmen?
Yeah.
Who like sell your things at suitcases next to the pyramids?
Yeah, it didn't fit. The helmet kept sloping off. The pads kept like sliding. He looked so stupid. I felt embarrassed for Usyk. The whole thing embarrassed him. I felt bad for a guy who's given us so much that he's coming off after this looking like a fool. And he does. He looks stupid. He looks the whole outfit, the whole fight, how he had to get saved by a bad stoppage. It makes him look stupid.
Just before we bring James in, Justin, you mentioned about kickboxing and Vhovven's kickboxing background and stuff. I ask you, do you like follow kickboxing? Because I never follow it, right? But I always sort of have a bad impression about it because it seems to me, I know boxing has a load of dodgy titles, but the amount of times you hear of people, and I remember there was a female boxer from Belfast years ago that said she was like a 10-time kickboxing world champion. And I watched the fight against the Journeywoman on her debut. And honestly, man, she was absolutely terrible. And I thought, how can she be a 10-time champion? Yeah. And then somebody said to me, oh, there's all these different belts in kickboxing. You can basically make your own. So I sort of carried that reputation falsely, seemingly, over to kickboxing. I thought, well, he's over, man. He's going to gas after about 3 rounds.
Well, he's in the legit part because he fights in like that K1, which is like the big Asia kickboxing. It's like the big one. It's almost like the Tekken of kickboxing.
Right.
So he doesn't fight like in these random ass off the wall kickboxing cards. He fights in the most legit one you could have. Like the Glory, it's like Glory kickboxing. It's like the big, it's basically the UFC version of kickboxing. That's what he's in. So he's in like the legit one. So that's why, and I've seen him fight. The man is just a beast. I mean, look how big, you saw how big he was at boxing. Imagine him punching and then kicking you in the face. That's what he does. So yeah, he's in the legit part of kickboxing. I do get you though. Kickboxing is like women's boxing. You don't know who the hell's good or what the rankings mean or anything, but I get what you're saying. But yeah, he was I told you, I said this a couple weeks ago. He's way better than people are giving him credit for, and he showed a little bit of that last night.
Fair enough. That makes more sense. A quick look at the chat here because Chaos 4190 was in an hour ago, so he's desperate to get this off his chest. So I feel like I should read it out. So he said Ngannou scored a knockdown and ate a ton of punches for the rest of the fight. His defense was as shit as Fury's punching power. That's why he got wiped out by AJ. He went on to say Rico got robbed. I think Usyk could have stopped him in the follow-up round, but we'll never know thanks to that corrupt referee. Yeah, Mark Lyson, he'd already pissed me off on that conniver Kabayel fight, man. Lyson loves an early stoppage. I think he was a bad choice for referee. They should have had Mark Nelson for the main event. Usyk did not take this fight seriously. A rematch ends differently because Rico can't punch for shit and will get mangled by Dubois or Wardley. Kabayel would have done a number on Usyk last night. Weird and wonderful, says Andrew. The aircraft carrier is not happy. He's having his say here. He says, Usyk got the job done, correct. Justin, you got to stop, maybe correct. Usyk carried him, like the aircraft carrier, seemingly. And what did Usyk do? He stopped him. Usyk stopped him on command. So there you go. That's his say. James, you're very welcome to episode 663. Usyk looked to me, Justin alluded to it there. He looked to me like he had a little bit of a belly. He always strikes me as the ultimate professional, disciplined guy, not calling into question his ability to train, etc. But I think it was maybe a lack of motivation rather than under training. He looked to me like a guy who had just come into camp for the first time for a fight, to say it was 8 weeks away. And this was his first spar, looked a bit rusty. The excesses of life had caught up on him, and in 6 to 8 weeks' time, he would look a lot better than this. Did he give you that early camp vibe, James?
Well, to be honest, I got a similar feeling the last time I seen him fight against Dubois. I thought his mobility wasn't quite there. There was a little bit of stiffness about him, and I don't know in terms of where this would match up against his ideal progression in camp, but I really think he struggled with how quickly Vhovven was able to close the distance. You know, he did a really good job, Vhovven, of rushing in, crashing in with right hands. And I don't think I've ever seen Usyk take that many right hands. And he'd commit to the body and he'd go forward with full force every time. And then when he stepped out of range, he stayed really busy, moving his head, moving his hands, moving his feet. He was never a static target. And I think that Usyk committed to a counter-punching game plan. And I just think that the timing of it was off. You could see him peeling back and looking for right hooks and uppercuts and trying to catch and counter. But Vhovven, with his athleticism and power and speed, was able to just beat him most of the time to the punch, I think. You know, he had to get old sometime, didn't he? And after such a long career, it's not that surprising that it's coming now, realistically. I didn't think he looked as bad as the commentary team were, trying to put forward. I think Barry Jones, I rarely disagree with him, but he's like, his feet look awful. And I'm thinking like, well, he doesn't look that bad to me. There's like another elite combat sports athlete in here closing the distance on him pretty quickly. Like when the comment got read out there a minute ago, talking about Ngannou and Joshua, I'll always remember Dave Caldwell. His commentary was like, there you go, when he knocked him down for the first time, because it was like a confirmation that boxing is this superior martial art, which is a viewpoint that I don't really prescribe to be honest. But there is that assumption that boxing is the supreme martial art, and then anyone else who comes in to challenge to that rule set is automatically going to be inferior. And that assumption has been challenged significantly, first by Ngannou and now by Vhovven. I think the Mayweather-McGregor template hasn't really held true for these crossover fights, to be honest. I think with enough training, like any of these top combat sports athlete could give, any top boxer a go, all in all.
That is a great point, actually. That is actually a really good point. I suppose whenever Joshua fought Ngannou, there was a narrative going around, and I may be guilty of sort of propelling this myself, that he was there to save boxing's reputation, given what Ngannou had done against Tyson Fury. But as time goes on, as James mentioned, Mayweather seems to be the exception to the rule, the way he sort of, early on, McGregor had little tiny snippets of success, but Mayweather just broke him down. And I thought for a while that's what Usyk was doing last night, but as the fight went on, I kind of thought he maybe wasn't in as much control as we thought, but other people would maybe think a little bit differently.
Hey, Steve, I got to add this real quick. The guy put in there that I was wrong and that Usyk carried him and then stopped him on command. I don't think it was the game plan for Usyk to take 57 shots to the face and get swollen up and then decide, hey, I think the plan, guys, is I will take vicious right hands and then I want to stop him late with a shady stoppage in the 11th. I don't believe that was what he was planning on doing. The definition of carrying somebody in an exhibition pretty much is when Mayweather carried McGregor. This was not a carry job. He did not carry Rico anywhere. I will put that very clear. This was not a carry somebody fight, period. Not at all.
That's the aircraft carrier, though. Justin's obsessed with things being carried, so don't worry about it. We'll get through. Andrew Mader's there. He says he's lost a step, not supposed to be so big. Holyfield was born above 215 pounds. That is quite true. Des is here. Was Rico really that tired, Des? How come his gas tank lasted so well? I'm going to hit you with a few questions here because I thought James made some really good points, actually. The unorthodox nature of Vhovven's style caused problems early. I thought he would start to tire. The fact he didn't tire caused Usyk a lot of trouble. And then as James says, rightly so, Des, I think he cut the distance and got to the target a lot quicker than people thought. And I think that unnerved Usyk a little bit.
Yeah, and you've got to remember as well, with these exhibition fights, I think James mentioned Mayweather and McGregor. He's right to focus on that one, because that was the archetypal exhibition where the pro boxer carried around the world champion MMA guy, if you like. The difference with these heavyweight versions of that type of thing is you're giving away 2 stone. So you can't quite carry someone. I mean, Justin has pulled that fella. That wasn't a carry. Behave yourself. Pack it in. Like Usyk was getting punched and knocked and banged about. That wasn't a carry. There was times in that fight, round 5 or 6, where Usyk thought, what have I done here? And he just thought, this guy's very, very fit. He's ball strong. He's very, very busy. He's awkward. He's unorthodox. And he's probably not trained as well as he should have done. In fact, he's half a stone heavier last night than what he was, just under half a stone heavier than when he fought Dubois, and just over half a stone heavier than when he fought Fury, which was probably arguably his best performance at heavyweight. And he's a lot heavier than when he was dominating the world as a cruiserweight. So the size was definitely a challenge last night for Usyk, and it didn't help. I think, did you mention about how much energy Rico had, Steve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
I can't believe that he'd done 11 rounds at that pace. He was like a flyweight. He was on his toes. He was bouncing. He was throwing shots. It was like he was like an amateur doing 3-2s. He always had something moving, and that's really unusual. Very, very unusual. And there's no doubt about it. Forget the money Usyk's earned and everything he's won and how highly he's regarded. We've all done it. Whether your trainer comes up to you in the middle of the gym and says, will you do me a favour? Take this kid around. Or if you've ever been involved in an exhibition where you're taking someone around that's a no-bouter because your one dropped out, something happens mentally. And last night, I think there's a combination of things. I think Usyk was probably a bit heavier than what he should have been. He probably never trained. He never got his mind right. I think Rico was a lot better, a lot more awkward, a lot more proactive and aggressive for a lot longer time than Usyk thought he was going to be. I think when you throw that into the pot, you get what we got last night. Was I surprised? Absolutely. I thought Usyk would have dealt with Rico in about 5 or 6 rounds. And after I saw Rico come out after the first bell, I thought this won't take Usyk that long. But it just went a funny way. And the whole show, Steve, not wanting to put a downer on things and not wanting to, constantly keep pulling these events down. But the whole show looked to me like we are now in boxing in full WWE mode. The way the analysts were talking and the commentary team were talking and the guests were dressed and the way they were talking and the way we was getting our visuals given to us and the way the fights were played out, whether it's Catterall, whether it was Hamzah or the main event itself, I just felt this had an exhibition feel about it. I know that's what the main event was there, but the whole event seemed to be like, we're now in full-blown testimonial boxing.
Yeah, we're witnessing kind of a spectacle. It's more about. I know the spectacle's important, but it's like become the main thing about the fights. It's the visuals and what you're seeing and the whole carnival aspect, rather than the actual bouts themselves.
And like all the little details, like they've obviously had wardrobe, dress a few of them, and let's go quirky and let's wear slippers with a suit with no shirt, and nothing wrong with that. Fair enough, and let's have a discussion and let's have a few people that can convince the audience that Rico's going to win this, which ironically, he was ahead on, he had a really good effort, didn't he? And I'm sitting there shouting at the telly going, they're insulting my intelligence. But that actually happened. I think the old me, Steve, if I'd have done in the asylum 10 years ago, I would have been convinced last night was a fix. I would have been convinced this is a get up, a wind up. But I've seen so much of this now. We've been privy to so much in boxing, and we've seen such a shift that last night actually did happen, and that was how it went down. And that's our heavyweight champion, who is arguably the best of his generation, and arguably could live in a lot of eras. I'm not saying he would be this type of dominant fighter, but he could live in a lot of eras because a good kid's always going to be a good kid. But that's what we have now from our heavyweight boxers. So last night was genuine. Usyk didn't carry no one. It weren't a fiddle. It weren't drawn up. We're just seeing a different type of boxing now, I'm afraid.
Justin, what did you think about the show itself, the spectacle? I mean, obviously from Malik Scott's tattooed head all the way to Bellew trying to fit in that suit to AI warriors coming out and all this. I'll tell you what, I saw the sand was flying about a little bit. It was a shame there wasn't a rainstorm or something. We could have seen the poison rugs in the ring, like the old Bellew of the week.
I agree with this. It is, ever since the Saudis got involved, that's what they want to do. They want every show to be like this extreme visual. That's just their style. And I mean, whatever. I don't, if the fights are good and the commentary's good, I don't really care what the visuals look like. I mean, let them do what the hell they want to do. That's their buddy. I remember my brother last night, this sums it up because he doesn't watch boxing. He doesn't even know who half the people are. But he come in the room, he come in my house, and he was like, how much did they freaking pay to rent the pyramids? And that's what I told him. I was like, man, the money they spent just on the visuals would run boxing for 20 years. This is just the money they are throwing out, wasting money. That's the key. They are wasting so much money, but they have it to waste. But I'll say this again. I'll say it 1,000 times. Everybody, I don't care how much money you have, you get to the point where you look at yourself, you're like, hey, we got to get out. Like, we can't just keep wasting money. That's what's going to happen with all this anyway. That's another story from now. But yeah, the visuals, honestly, if I was there last night, besides getting sand right in my face, it probably would have been a cool show to be at, to say that you were in the desert at the pyramids. I mean, that would have been a cool show to go to. It costs, I don't know, God knows how much it would cost for me to fly across, over to Africa, but I get what they're trying to do. I'm not stupid. I understand it. I agree. Des is right, though. This is turning into wrestling. We're turning into crazy stuff. But hell, if they're good fights, I can live with that. I'm just not going to pay for it. I'll find another way to watch it, but I don't really mind it. I just want to. The one thing I hate is, why do we have to have 28 people commentary about the fight? Let's go to these 3 guys. Let's go to these 4 guys. Let's go to these 2 guys. Let's go to Jason Statham for 15 minutes. Who gives a shit what
Jason Statham, man?
I think he pays Jason Statham to come to the fights with him.
Absolutely, he does, yeah.
That's my theory. I think Jason Statham is making a good amount of money to sit there beside that guy. A good amount of money. It's just, I don't care about all this stuff. Why can't we just go back to, I only need to hear from the guys doing the fight and maybe one dude in the back. That's it. I don't need to hear 29 different breakdowns of the same exact fight. They were bringing in Alistair Overeem. Who gives a shit about Alistair Overeem?
I thought it was Frank Rijkaard at first.
Yeah, Alistair.
I didn't even know.
Alistair Overeem is like, he's just an MMA, he's a mixed martial arts legend guy, but still, it's like, I don't care about this stuff. Malik Scott, I don't mind him talking because, if you're going to do a heavyweight fight, he knows what he's talking about. I don't really give a shit if he talks, but it's too much. It's too much shit. I wish it was simpler, but it is what it is. Fuck it. As long as the fights are good, I don't care. But the fights they've been kind of half-assed, and that's where that's why we're talking about the spectacle. If those were if we're getting hellacious fights, we're not really going to worry about the spectacle. But we're not really getting that either. So that's where you're kind of like, fuck.
Why can't the commentary team earn their spaces, though? The way, in some of them pyramids. I went to the pyramids years ago, as I was telling you off air, and some of them are really, they're very dense and you can't breathe and all. Why don't they take all the commentary team out there, shove them into one of the pyramids, and whoever comes out at the end of the day gets to commentate? You know what I mean? You need to earn these stuff.
Yeah, because you have 5 guys talking during the fights now. I'm I can't even keep up with. I'm muted. I have not actually listened.
I didn't listen to it at all. I had it on mute from the beginning, and then as soon as I saw Bean's name on the telly, I knew it was a good decision.
I have not listened to. I only listen to the Pro Box guys because Paulie Malignaggi is still really, really good at what he does. I will listen to him because he doesn't go to the fluff or he does it if his guy, because technically he owns Pro Box, so if his guy's losing, Paulie's going to talk shit about his guy and talk good about the other guy. He doesn't have an agenda. He doesn't push that. That's what you have to have. We need Lampley. What we really need is guys that don't care about agendas talking. They don't give a shit they don't care about who's winning. They just talk shit. You have to have some guys that can still talk shit and don't care. We don't have that right now. We don't have that.
We don't talk shit on here, but we don't care about agendas either. Go ahead.
No.
I think that boxing is that sport it's really suffered during the social media era. And I think if you go back 15 years, Steve, the likes of Matchroom and Sky came in and said, look, we're going to take boxing out of the small halls. We're gonna bring in some strobe lights. We're gonna put in the people from The Only Way is Essex. We're gonna introduce celebrity chefs, and we're gonna really jazz this sport up. And we're gonna put it in arenas where we can get 12,000 tickets, 15,000 tickets, bums on seats. And I think they've gone so far with that. They thought, well, this still isn't paying, because the top 10% of boxing really sells. And then the sort of the 40%, 50% under that, kind of like you're rolling the dice, you're flipping the coin here, it's half a gamble. And anything under that just doesn't sell. Fighters are losing money. So it's that race to that top 10%. And I think they're trying to create, and they're trying to create boxing to mirror that top 10%. When they've corrupted the market in terms of paying mid-card guys top card money. They've brought in faces that they thought they could sell because they had fantastic social media profiles. And where Matchroom and Sky took it and they jumped into the zone, now you've got the Jake Pauls and the KSIs, and they've got 100 million subscribers between them. They must have a value. Let's bring them in. Francis Ngannou, following the Conor McGregors of the world, they must have a value. Let's get more eyes on boxing. But ultimately, I think what they're doing there, they're hybriding our sport. And because the original version just wasn't good enough, it just didn't sell. Now, Steve, if I said to you, Clinton Woods versus Rico Hoy, you remember that fight, you remember it well. You can talk to me about it. You loved every minute of it. It was a brilliant fight. But that doesn't sell today. What sells today? What we got last night. So us, our little lot, and the people like us, we represent a small number. We're just not the people they're aiming at anymore. They're aiming at people, and I said this last week, they're aiming at people that are really into the misfits thing, really into women in skimpy bikinis at weigh-ins. They're really into the social media gurus that have got 100 million subscribers. They're into this crossover thing because I've got guys that I know that don't know boxing, but they know about this Rico fella, and they're saying how good he is. So as a result, they're watching last night, and I just think this is a very bold punt on the guys in Saudi to say, let's try and take boxing to a level it's never been by hybriding it, bringing more people into it, tweaking it, changing it. But the type of boxing that we all love, Steve, and I'm not talking about the Four Kings. I'm not talking about Arguello and Pryor. Just the Clinton Woods and the Rico Hoyers. Them brilliant nights. That doesn't sell anymore. What sells is what we got last night. And in a funny way, we was moaning about this in a similar type of fashion. We was moaning about this last week because Hrgovic was brought over to sell to the public. We're not getting anything close to a 50-50, a 60-40. We just don't seem to get them anymore. And this pod for the last 18 months, it seems to be like us bemoaning where boxing is. But I just think we're an example of we've still got both feet in the old boxing. And what we saw last night is the new version of boxing. Until the money runs down, it might all rejig and go back to where it was. But for now,
it will.
But for now, this is boxing that they're gonna. And Justin asked, where did Jason Statham come from? It's a great question. Where did he come from? But he's a Hollywood movie star who's obviously got links in that region of the world. They've had him involved. They're paying him well. But it could be Cristiano Ronaldo. It could be any of the people we see sitting ringside. And it's kind of like an advanced version of what Matchroom tried to do 15 years ago. They had people from The Only Way is Essex. They had Gordon Ramsay. You had Noel Gallagher watching Ricky Hatton. They're giving tickets away to raise the profile of the sport. And I just think that's all we're seeing now. And it's not the type of sport that I like. And it ain't a sport that I really recognise anymore. But this is the new version of boxing that we're getting at this level.
Yeah, and I think boxing's always been so accessible as well, and they're always so desperate to get hold of the money and that. And the likes of Turkey, who's come in, he's kind of living out his fanboy dream. He's tried his hand in a few other things. I think he took over like an Egyptian football club, tried to change the name to Pyramids FC, and he took over a Spanish football club, and that didn't work out either. And then he's found a way into boxing, and he's living out his fantasies. He's got he's paying people to be his friends. He loves wrestling. He loves comic books and anime and computer games and all this type of stuff. And I think, James, there was a little bit of a WWE aspect, although this has gone on for time immemorial, like high block fights, getting Kabayel into the ring, which will sort of lead on to the next question about kind of what's next. Will it be Kabayel? Will it be the Rico rematch? But the point is, I think what exemplified not just last night, but the sort of direction boxing's going in and Turkey's desperation to sort of get front and centre of everything was whenever they were announcing the winner and Mark Lyson had Usyk's hand in his one arm and he was reaching out for Rico Verhoeven with the other one, and he's got Turkey standing there right next to him in between the four of them, just putting himself front and centre, and then that little flipping weirdo hobgoblin Rico Reno hanging about the place as well. But I think Turkey's just desperate to bring that WWE element into it, James. And can we excuse him if he makes Kabayel Usyk next and he forces that over the line? Would we be happy with that?
I mean, I'm happy enough with whatever I'm served as long as it's good. I mean, personally, I quite like the theatrics. I mean, I used to be a big wrestling fan. I used to love Naz's entrances, you know, the magic carpet, the Halloween Havoc stuff, him punching a skull off a gravestone, all that good stuff. I love all that, you know. But again, it's more like what is the actual product. And I think what you're talking about Turkey here is he's the man that's in charge, and potentially the hand moving the pieces that led to something like that stoppage, for instance. And I think that the decision between the Rico rematch or going with Kabayel really is the dichotomy that we're talking about, because Kabayel is, you know, the number one contender. Everyone will acknowledge that he's more than ready and more than deserving for a world title shot. But Rico Verhoeven is that big, flashy, money-making matchup. And especially after this fight, you can sell it even more. I mean, you could have it, I don't know, on top of Mount Fuji or something. They can do some more AI promotions, get the samurais out, all that good stuff. I'm all for it. But yeah, I think the powers that be that move the sport and dictate its direction, it always ends in the same thing. And Usyk, unfortunately, because he's been such an ambassador for the sport, I mean, I love watching him fight. That yesterday, with the stoppage especially, and what the open scorecards were looking like after 8 rounds, it really served to undermine what a great career he's had. It just made him look protected, and that's not really what he's been throughout his career. He's gone anywhere and fought anyone and looked amazing doing it. But last night left a sour taste, and if it's showbiz in the place of whatever little fairness was left in the sport, I'd rather a little bit less of the razzmatazz, if you know what I mean.
That's actually a really good point, James, because it's sort of, yeah, but by maybe not purposefully, and I think you probably lean towards the same end of the stoppage as me. I mean, I'm that bloodthirsty, like I would have let Richard Torres carry on, but no, all joking aside, like the stoppage was BS, absolute bullshit for me. But you are right there, James. It added an element of protection to Usyk that he has never received throughout his career, and it is definitely the outlier rather than the exception rather than the rule. I never thought about it that way. That is actually a really good point. And on the theatrics, do you think Pyramids of Giza or Times Square held up better? I think last night's was a little bit better, James, wasn't it, than the Times Square offering?
Oh yeah, I thought that were, you know, the pre-fight photo shoot. I was basically thinking, job done. Like, this is what this is all about here. This still with the two fighters, hands raised in front of this ancient monument. And boxing's just as ancient, it feels like sometimes, with just as many secrets buried underneath. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for more theatrics, more kind of groundbreaking production value, all that good stuff. But again, it's the eternal problem in boxing, isn't it? The favorite is always going to get the treatment by the ref, by the judges, by the commentary team, by the system behind them. It's really unfortunate, because yesterday, I mean, if you were going to put a gun to my head, similar to the Froch Groves, the first fight, like, that was a bad stoppage. But if you put a gun to my head, I would have said, yeah, Froch probably would have gone on to win that fight regardless. Yesterday, I had a similar feeling. Vhovven, after such a frenetic output for 11 rounds, which really is puzzling considering championship kickboxing fights are 3 5-minute rounds, he was able to keep his energy up, but he seemed to unravel really quickly. And Usyk, for everything that he wasn't in that fight last night, he came alive when he looked like he had Vhovven hurt. So if I had to guess, I think he would have stopped him, but that's not for us to know. I mean, Vhovven could have recharged his batteries and just flew at him again. So it's one of those.
Completely agree. Justin, what we're looking at next, hopefully there was no mummy's curse thrown out last night. I'll ask you a question, actually, Justin. Who needs to get home to their wife and kids quicker, Tony Bellew or Terence Crawford? But never mind Bellew turning up at the opening of envelope. Terence Crawford, man, he doesn't want to put in that family time. That man is just turning up to every flipping show going at the moment. I keep thinking I'm going to see him at the Devonish next week.
Well, he was definitely there because Bobak trains Torres.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why I think wherever Bobak goes, he goes, obviously. I think that's how I think they're like a team. So even, yeah, you're right, Terence Crawford, I don't blame him. Hey, if I was Terence Crawford and I was pretty much retired and I had a lot of money, I'd go everywhere too. Hell, it's free.
Yeah,
they're paying for all of it. They do all the work. He just has to show up, get in a limo. They'll take him to the pyramids. He gets to shake a few hands and he's cool. I mean, I don't blame him he actually brings more credit than Tony Bellew does to the card. I mean, I'd rather hear from Terence Crawford breaking it down than fucking Tony Bellew, who says the same shit every damn time and nobody gives a crap about. I mean, but it's funny. As far as Usyk, he should fight Kabayel. That's what Kabayel has earned that right to do this. Rico has not earned the right, but he got it anyway. Kabayel should get this shot. And I do believe that if Usyk decides to fight Rico for a second time, he should give the belt up and let Kabayel fight for it. I don't think Kabayel should be held again to wait unless he gets paid a lot of money to wait. He should keep pushed back again. It's his time now. He's not getting any younger. It's time. And I'm telling you right now, if Usyk shows up half as bad as he fought last night, he will lose to Kabayel. He has to make sure he's ready for that fight. And I think Usyk will be. I think Usyk's mindset will be completely different fighting a Kabayel than it was fighting the Rico. I think this will be a different setup. I think it'll be different. I want that fight. That's a legit, good, really good heavyweight fight that we need to see. We need to find out, is Kabayel really any good or is he just another guy? And we'll find that out versus Usyk. That's the fight that should be made. Let's do it. There's no now. The question is, where the hell are you going to fight that fight? Because you can't go back to the Ukraine. Yeah, it had to be Germany because you know how Ukraine is pretty big in Germany because of the Klitschko. So I don't think Usyk's got to worry about too big of a home field advantage. So that's where it would have to be. Find a football stadium, play it. I don't know, play it Bayern, play somewhere. But that's who he should fight. Period. We don't need to see a rematch. He needs to get in there, and Kabayel has earned the right. You can't keep screwing him. Let him have it. If he gets the hell beat out of him, whatever. But the man needs his shot. It's time.
What about Kabayel versus Rico for the right to fight Usyk, Justin?
God, that would be. Could you imagine the spit in Kabayel's face if they say he's got to beat Rico? He's got to be another eliminator fight. The thing about this, Kabayel, I think he would have an easier time. I think he saw what Rico is. Yeah. Rico's not going to change. I don't think Kabayel. The bad thing is, if you're Kabayel, I would have to be like, I want a ridiculous amount of money, like insane amount of money to fight him before I would even. But how boxing goes, I would not be surprised if we didn't have Usyk versus God knows for the main event and Kabayel versus Rico on the undercard. Who knows? You never know with boxing.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't fight Kabayel and he doesn't fight Rico next. It could be a completely left. He might fight Wilder next.
You know what? Wilder, by beating a completely washed up dish rag at Chisora, has earned. Wilder is going to get one massive payday. It's going to happen.
I don't know. He will fight Wilder because he's got that final name of the sort of generation. His record, hasn't he?
And he will absolutely beat the hell out of Wilder. I think Rico would have beat Wilder last night.
This snakes and ladders boxing. Don't be surprised if they put Sanchez in the frame after last night's win.
I'm not so sure. Not so sure.
He was calling him out last night when after he dropped after he beat Torres.
Who knows? They probably have Torres fight Usyk. I would be stuck with anything.
I couldn't see Usyk fighting Sanchez. Not that he wouldn't beat him. I think Usyk on the way up, young, hungry, around the Chisora, sort of Chaz Witherspoon era, no problem at all. There he'd be thinking to himself, why would I need a problem like Sanchez? I know Sanchez has been beaten, but what's the point?
Rico sold more than Sanchez would sell. I don't think anybody care less about the Sanchez fight, but like Des said, who knows?
It's the theory of we've had a chance to see them both on the same card. Sanchez has never looked so good. He's just beaten an American hopeful. I'm not saying I want to see that fight, by the way. I'm not saying it's even going to happen, but just the way this group operate, and if it's about let's get as many fights out of Usyk as we can until we get a real big one, I think Sanchez could fit the bill.
You know what? This is how I sum this up. You know where they eternally think Usyk is in his career and what he has left by who he fights next. If he fights a Sanchez or he fights a Rico again, then I think they internally believe that he's on his last leg. That's a simple.
Yeah, Turkey's desperate for the third Fury fight, isn't he? I think he still wants that.
He doesn't know what the hell he wants. He just lets somebody tell him. That guy's, I don't know. We'll probably he's an idiot. I don't care. Allegedly.
But we've got a lot of time to kill until that happens, haven't we, Steve? So you've got to assume when's Fury and AJ going to happen?
I don't think it will happen, personally speaking, Des. I think it's destined never to happen.
I could agree with that as well. But let's just say that's being muted for December, for example, for argument's sake. But well, AJ's got to have this next fight coming up, and then you've got to assume there's going to be a 3 or 4 or 5 month period. You know, a month out, a month ticking over, 3 month camp. So let's just say that goes to December. There might be a really close fight. It might really sell. Then they have a rematch, and then how long is that going to go? Is that going to the summer of 2027? So how long's Usyk got to hang around till he gets that third Fury fight? So they've got to do something with them all in between. And we spoke about it the last couple of weeks, Steve. Mm-hmm. You've got guys just hanging around now. So Fabio's in the picture and Dubois in the picture. You've got guys that are going to bring up like Richard Riakporhe. You've got Hrgovic on the back of a Dave Allen win. You've got Bacoli sniffing around. They mentioned his name last night. Sanchez has put himself in some sort of picture, wherever you want to put him in that picture. He's in it now on the back of last night. Moses is Moses. So I'm not, and Kabayel, of course, is the front. He's in pole position, all of them. So I'm not sure the division can wait on an Usyk Fury third one. I think there's too much going on. And I think if Usyk waits for that, and you're bang right what you're saying, Turkey's desperate for that third one. If we put the division on hold until that can happen, we might end up losing a lot of really good fighters and some really potential good fights.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. They need to get a move on. I wonder if they put it on in December, AJ Fury, where they would actually go with it, to be honest, because it's sort of said to me like a late August, early September kind of stadium fight or something. But now, I don't know, with Fury, what he's going to do. I don't know, I just think it's destined never to happen. I hope I'm wrong, to be honest. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, I can see that, I mean.
But not for this long. Who knows? It might never happen at all. Right. Let's have a look who's in the chat. Jason Chukwu has appeared. Episode 663 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse Podcast. Don't forget to hit like if you enjoy listening to us. Someone was asking me earlier about when the next value of the week is going to be. Didn't manage to get them gathered all together for this week. But if we hit 50 likes, I'll maybe do one next week. How about that? Can't say any further than that. Hit the like button or the dislike button if you're not happy. If we get 50 likes, I'll do value of the week next week, or value of the quarter, whatever you want to call it. That is absolutely fine. Just before we move on to the undercard, I want to stick with that kind of Ukrainian theme. Usyk of a smaller nature. He's also hitting 40. Some fighter, this guy, Justin. Vasyl Lomachenko, of course. He's been out of action for 2 years, doing the Mikey Garcia treatment on Bob Arum, trying to get out of that contract. Bob seems happy enough. It all seems very amicable. But he's coming back. Are you happy, Justin, with the return of Vasyl Lomachenko? Who's he going to fight? What's happening here?
I'm actually surprised that he would come back. He just seemed like the kind of guy that would, when he said he was not going to do it, he wasn't going to do it anymore. I don't want him to come back. I don't see the point of coming back. I don't understand it at all. He just come off to me as the guy. I don't ever, you really can't believe boxers when they say they're retired because 95% of them don't retire. But I kind of believe that he wasn't coming back. I kind of thought, no, he's like you said, he's 40. He's got his head on straight. I just didn't think he would. So this is kind of surprising to me that we have to even talk about this. I didn't see it. I don't know where he goes. He's not the guy he was, obviously. I don't know. He's up too far in weight where he needs to be if he does come back. It doesn't make any sense. He's setting himself up for failure, honestly. There's not a lot of places to go. But hell, I mean, it's his life, it's his career. I'm just surprised. I kind of really thought when he said no, that was no.
Well, Chuck, we've put here, Justin, regular life applying for jobs sucks hard. Lomachenko needs something to do. Do you think Lomachenko's come back because he doesn't want to sit out filling any more job applications?
He's definitely mismanaged his career if he's walking around the Ukraine trying to apply for jobs. There's definitely been if he's trying to get a job at a steel factory or something, there's definitely been an issue with the money management on that one. His dad robbed him. I don't understand. Yeah, there's definitely problems if he's like who? Vasyl Lomachenko. Would you like to come to interview Friday at 3? I don't think that's the
How many
problem.
A-levels have you got, Mr. Lomachenko?
Yeah, I'm just surprised. I just did not see it. I really thought that was it. Unless he just wants to come back and end on a high note, maybe he's just wants to come back and end it stronger because he didn't finish that well. The last couple of years, his career really weren't that great. Maybe he wants to come back and beat somebody really bad.
He ended up between Cambosas, didn't he? He hasn't fought since then, I think.
So, okay, Bosas is trash. That really wasn't a good one, but I don't know what he's planning on doing. It don't make any sense, but hell, he probably sees all this money thrown around and he's figured, hey, if I could get on one of these Saudi cards, I could come out with fake AI guys and I could make like $10 million. So I guess that's probably what I'm telling you, the amount of money they're throwing around for stupid shit, I can see why I can see maybe that's what's bringing him back. I have no idea. I love Lomachenko, but I don't really care he's coming back though. I just don't care. There's no point in it.
I'm going to say, I think there's Justin hit upon a good point there. Maybe he's looking at that Saudi money, but he said no tune. Obviously, wants to get straight back in. So if he's just looking at a handy little career ending, that's not going to happen. He's going to go straight in with the big boys. I noticed Shakur Stevenson quote tweeted Lomachenko's message or whatever with a little fire emoji, basically saying, I'm happy to fight him. I don't see anything now, 2 to 3 years on from the likes of the Haney fights, 5 years on from the Teofimo Lopez fights, to suggest that Lomachenko is going to come back and be any stronger, personally speaking. And I hate to say it, but I don't see a world where coming back Lomachenko, even despite his skills, will be good enough at that higher weight to beat someone like a Shakur Stevenson. So what's he doing?
Well, that was my question I was going to ask you, Steve. If he does come back, what weight do you think he'll come back at?
It's got to be lightweight around that sort of region, pushing up even higher, which is not going to suit him because he's going to be going after the big boys, isn't he? I know Navarrete's name's been mentioned. You're talking super fair, well, probably lightweight with Navarrete these days. Can't remember what rate he's competing at, but it's going to be minimum lightweight. He might even push himself up towards 140 if he's chasing your Haney's, your Garcias, your Shakur Stevensons. I just don't see it ending well at those high weights.
No, and that was my thinking. So I wouldn't want to see him. Up super light, all that little lot. And I think you've got some really good, talented fighters that can really crack at lightweight. But I just wonder if he can come in at lightweight and perhaps draw up a Shaki Foster or a Raymond Ford. I think them fight or a Fulton. I think those are fights where he could really manage well. I don't think they could hurt him, and I think he'd be very comfortable with with a technical fight that they would bring. So I think it's all about, Steve, what weight he goes in at and who he can draw up at that weight. And I think he won't be looking up at the big guns. I think he'll be looking down at the big guns. So like Shaki Foster, a Raymond Ford, a Stephen Fulton, I think that's where his mark will be. And if you can get big money in Saudi for them type of fights, particularly if Foster and Ford catches light, Lomachenko could fight the winner. I think that might work. But I agree with you. I wouldn't want to see him with the big guns up at light welter or lightweight.
Me neither, James, on this return. But as Des said, and I think I said it myself, he seems like the type of guy, Lomachenko, just wants to push himself to the maximum. And he's going to come back. He's going to be chasing your Garcias, your Haney's, your Gervonta Davises. You don't know what's happening with him. Or your Shakur Stevensons, even Teofimo Lopez rematch. That's the kind of character he is. I can't see him coming back and saying, I want to clear out Raymond Ford, Stephen Fulton, or Shaki Foster, which sounds really disrespectful. Floyd Schofield. He just doesn't seem like that kind of character. He wants to test himself against the best. And those guys, I'm not saying they'd be beneath him because the current version would be good fights, but unless he's being paid massive for them, they don't feel to me, James, like the kind of names that he will be chasing after.
Yeah, potentially not, but I think you'd be surprised what someone like Raymond Ford will be able to do to you after a couple of years out of the ring and pushing 40, especially at these lower weights.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, yes, Raymond, they would all give him a good fight, that's what I'm saying, but for him coming back, I'm Lomachenko. I can't see him saying, I want to fight Ray Ford. You know, that's the point I'm trying to make, sorry.
Yeah. So, he will be pushing for marquee matchups, and he's earned it, hasn't he, really? I mean, I'm not quite sure what he wants out of this, because I remember an interview, probably a couple of years old now, and they were talking about retirement, and they asked him what he would be doing once he hung up his gloves, and he said he just wants to hunt and fish and be outside. Well, that's all well and good when you're 30-something years into an elite athletic career, when you need a break. I don't know how long sitting by a river with your rod out will sustain you once you've had that kind of career and life behind you. So I think he's basically just gotten bored. Maybe he needs money. But I think it's basically what you said. He's an elite competitor, and he's probably watching the sport, leaving behind, and probably wants to get involved for however much time he's got left. I mean, he pretty much had a fairy tale ending. Ended on a win, knocked out George Kambosos. I know Kambosos isn't great shakes, but after Teofimo beat Loma, there's kind of a circularity there that kind of rounds off his career quite nicely. He was always, for the latter 2, 3, 4, 5 years of his career, fighting upper weight. He's going to be fighting up a weight again now, you'd assume, after this time out. We're getting to the stage now where he might not disgrace his legacy, but he will do what so many great boxers have done before him and go on too long. And then there's always the risk he can come back, get beat by somebody who never would have got anywhere near him in his prime. And that can drag fighters like that deeper into the hole, and they'll keep coming back again. I really hope that's not the case. I hope it's just a one and done situation for him, whoever that might be against.
Good point. Des, did you have anything to add there? I know you're remuted. Go ahead. If not, we can move on.
No, I just to sort of bullet point a few things about Loma. You know, this is a guy that's only ever known a high level sport. You know, as an amateur, he was exceptionally good. Not just good, exceptionally good, like phenomenally good. As a pro, he was a he was, you know, he bucked the trend. He was a trailblazer. He really did prove that he can transition from an outstanding amateur into a top level pro very, very quickly. And there's a lot of people who have followed suit since Loma did it. I don't think he's skint. I don't think he'd be bored with fishing and hunting and floating around in G-Wagons. I don't think that bores him. But I just think it's all he's ever known. And I think he'll be in good nick. I think he's still got all his faculties. I think he's probably good at most sports he tries. And if he goes down to a local gym and plays a bit of paddle, he's probably really good at that. And if he plays a bit of basketball, he's probably very good at that. And he probably just thinks, I'm getting phone calls 2 or 3 times a month from various agents and managers. And if I go back in with someone that's not a puncher, someone that's, you know, in weight is quite comparative to where I want to be, I think it's too much money on the table for him to turn down, especially now. So I just think it's a combination of a lot of things for Lomachenko. But I will say this, Steve, I agree with everything James just said in regards to Lomachenko. But there are a lot of top class fights there that he could still win. He's that good. So it'd be interesting. I'll go back to it though. I'll just keep him away from a puncher.
Yep. And I wonder whether I didn't mention it tongue in cheek about him sitting out the top rank contract, but it doesn't seem like a coincidence that after the Kambosos fight, he waited, and it was 2 years, wasn't it? I think after that, the contract was to run for 2 years. It wasn't, it was a date length contract rather than a fights contract. And on the day that it expired, he announced that he was coming back. So you almost think like he's been sitting there with his rod out, chasing wild boar or whatever, thinking, I need to get out of this contract from Uncle Bob. And so maybe it wasn't an itchy feet, itchy gloves. Maybe he always wanted to fight, but he didn't want to be in the top rank contract. I'm just speculating there. That could be complete bollocks. I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to Egypt. Place to be, Justin. The sand's flying. Hamzah Sheeraz's hands are flying as well. I wrote the preview for Boxing News magazine for this one, and I said that it wouldn't last 3 or 4 rounds. Hamzah Sheeraz against Alan Begage. I watched a bit of Begage, wasn't impressed whatsoever. I tell you what, he couldn't even make it to 3 or 4 rounds. The poor guy. Sheeraz got the measure of him very, very early. And you have to be honest, for a world title level, this was just a pathetic waste of time.
It was a ridiculous waste of time. It was the first jab he threw, he shook him. Begic was so far out of his depth. He's probably mid-level European at best. And I think the shame in it is that, yeah, Shiraz made some money. They got him to knock out on a big card. But the waste of time on his body, the waste of camp, all that little shit adds up over the years. This was a waste of camp. This was a waste of time. He didn't learn anything. All this was it's not like he had to have a fight. This was just a fight. It makes no sense. I know maybe they wanted to get the ranking up. I get all the stuff they did for it, but this guy was god awful bad. He should never even have been anywhere near anything similar to a world title. He was terrible. He showed up. He did not want to win. He had no desire he knew he wasn't going to win that fight. He had that was about him after the first 30 seconds. He knew what he was in there with. He wasn't even going to, there's no way in hell he was going to win unless Shiraz snapped his ankle off like Vlasov did. There's no way that he was going to do anything in that fight. It was so stupid. I'm surprised that it even lasted as long as it did. He could not carry any shots. Shiraz didn't even get out of, I don't think he even broke a sweat hardly. This was so easy for him. But good on him. He got paid. He's going to, the people that don't know as much about boxing are going to be like, oh, man, look, he destroyed this guy in a world title type fight and whatever. It was what it was. It should not have been co-made, obviously. But what a waste of time. Begic, we don't need to see him ever again. We don't need to see him on any cards. The bad thing about him is that at least in a loss, if you show up, you'll get more paydays. He didn't even show up. So he didn't even earn it.
He's 49, Justin, and he said beforehand that he's only a part-time fighter. He works in a desk job or something in Switzerland, and he just boxes for fun.
Yeah. See,
it didn't look that much fun, did it?
Maybe he get Lomachenko a job at his Sweden office. Yeah, that was so stupid. Whatever. There's nothing we could really say about that. This is like a quick was what it was and move on. He beat a guy who shouldn't have been in there with him, like you just said, who told everybody that I don't even care. I'm just a part-time guy that just showed up. Whatever. It was just stupid.
I suppose, James, the disappointing thing was originally Shiraz and Diego Pacheco were set for WBC, either an eliminator or a fight for the vacant title. I can't remember the exact politics of it all now. No, because Billy and Martinez fought for the WBC. Anyway, some title, and Pacheco withdrew because he didn't feel that the time was right. That's a shame because Shiraz versus Pacheco would have been a really good fight. I know when Billy was being floated around at one point, but to go from that level right down to the level of this guy, it's an Uncle Frank special, picking up the WBO. But as for Shiraz, I think, James, he was blasting people away early on. He looks the business. I think the way he dealt with Berlanga, I know there's that whole glove weirdness going on. Berlanga saying he had loaded gloves and all that. We'll put that to one side. Shiraz is kind of a bit of a roller coaster up and down. And whenever he fought the first true prime world-class guy in Carlos Adames, he had a damn tough night that night. Ended up with a draw. I thought he probably lost. Turkey was doing his nut at ringside, shouting instructions, etc. So Shiraz really needs that sort of big performance and that maybe even in a Adames rematch. Now he's up at super middleweight as well to sort of show us where he's at. Would you agree? Do you know where Shiraz is at? Are you comfortable saying I think Shiraz is X good? Because I'm struggling to position him at the moment because of the real true test that he's had against the Dames. He struggled, and there's no shame in that. That's proper world class. That wasn't world class last night. That guy was like area level. He fought. Where do you place Shiraz at the moment, James?
Well, in wrestling parlance, that was a squash match last night, really, and I think it's very important for Shiraz's promotional run to have fights like that where he can look extra impressive because, as you say, against the Dames, he struggled, whether that was the weight, whether that was the occasion, the quality of opponent. He kept his hands in his pockets for long periods in that fight. And even well before that, I always hark back to the Bradley Skeet fight where we saw the machine turn and work in his favour when he hit Skeet when he was down and not a word was said. So I think we know that he's going to be one of those protected assets, not to sound like a CIA informant or anything like that, but he's somebody that needs all the promotional kind of artillery behind him as they can get. And I think it probably worked in their favor that somebody, an opponent of this level was who stepped in because he could look impressive, smash him out of there, and then you can keep building this idea of who he is. I wouldn't go anywhere near Adames again if I was Frank and the boys, to be honest with you. As far as where Shiraz is, who knows? He hasn't. I mean, against Belanga, would you say Belanga's his best win? Most impressive win, really?
Most impressive win. I think the way he dealt with Belanga was impressive. I know we know what Belanga is, but Belanga's decent. This has gone 12 rounds with Canelo. I think that was a good win for Shiraz, the way he did it, especially.
So it's like that is the barometer, really, isn't it? 4th round knockout or something like that. His hands look good. He's always tall, long, strong. I mean, it depends, doesn't it? I'd like to see, I mean, anyone really. Who would you dice him against? Because they're going to want to protect him all the way to the bank, realistically. Who would you put him in against? That would be like a barometer that isn't the most dangerous in the world. I mean, they were talking about the Canelo fight, weren't they? Is Canelo far enough past his best where you'd risk putting Shiraz in against him? I don't think he's that far gone, to be honest.
I think that's what they're working towards. James. I know he's fighting and Billy, and that'd be a tough old fight for Canelo, but I think that's what Turkey wants, is to put Canelo in against Shiraz. So we have to take him at his word. I think someone like a Jaime Munguia, James, would be a nice one. Maybe Jacob Bank is a 19-0 Danish fighter who I thought should have been getting that shot on Saturday night. He stopped William Skull, who did the distance for Canelo, and he's ranked 8th in the box bet rankings. If not him, someone like a Jaime Munguia, I think, just as that stepping stone to the next level.
Munguia's a brilliant shout because he's been cracked as well, hasn't he? So they know the vulnerabilities there. So I think that's a decent shout, yeah. But I mean, it's looking a bit uninspiring, isn't it? Because Canelo, as great of a champion as he's been, I'm a massive fan. He's clearly on the downside now. So you're picking at the bones of a great fighter, aren't you, realistically? And how much does that do for you if you actually watch boxing? Again, we go back to the question of who are these people trying to appeal to? Now, you can, if Shiraz is made in a fight with Canelo and he manages to win, or even in the promotion, if he loses, they can say he lost to X amount of time, X weight world champion, he can come again, etc., etc. They're always, it's not always a grift, but it's always grift adjacent, if you know what I mean.
Grift adjacent, Chokwe, the grifter. What are you thinking, Des, about Shiraz?
Yeah, I think he's had a really good run, though, Shiraz. I think he's building nicely. And if you look at the guys he's beaten, I'm trying to get this in order. He fought Tyler Denny, Carlos Adames, although he just got away with that one, but he still learned a lot from it. He put that right against Belanga. Last night, did he beat Ammo Williams as well, didn't he, in there somewhere? I can't get the order right, but I know he's had a good 4 or 5 fight run. He got away with the Adames one. I didn't like that, but he got away with it, and he'd come through it a better fighter. And he might have changed a few people in his team. He might have relocated. Michael Thompson asked me about a year ago, do I think it's a good idea Hamzah being in America? It's them sort of fights with Adames that remind Hamzah what's best for him and how he goes about this. Because when he gets there, and we're talking about the Pachecos and the Iglesias, when he gets there, or above that is the Mambilis or the Canelos, he wants to have everything in place. I'm with you, Steve. I think they'll bring in someone like a Munguia because he's got very good name brand value. Or on the back of his recent win, they might even try and bring up a Shane Mosley Jr. He's got the height, and they might do something like that to keep Hamzah ticking over until Canelo and Billy sort themselves out. I think Pacheco is a bit too high risk, low reward. And I think the same can be said for Osnays in Glaziers. But I think they do like Hamzah, and I think he is a talent, and it's about managing him correctly, matchmaking him right, progressively. I think the last 4 or 5 have been quite progressive, and I think the next 1 or 2 will go the Munguia or a Mbili or a Munguia and a Pacheco, and then after that, if Canelo's still around, I think they're going to go for the big one. But I don't think they do anything wrong. Last night I didn't like it. I'm with Justin. It kind of is a waste of a camp, but I can only assume, Justin, they would have said to him very, very early, I know it's hard to play this game, but we haven't got to go too heavy on this camp because the kid you're beating probably wouldn't win an English title. No disrespect to him. We're not here to disrespect fighters, but that was something that we used to see Frank do with Nathan Cleverly and Scott Quigg years ago. That, we've gone back in time a bit here, but that was a gimme. But I think the next 12 months, in terms of what happens elsewhere in a division, in terms of how they match Hamzah, I think it'd be very interesting, Steve.
Pacheco would be a good fight. I think he'll beat Pacheco because Pacheco has
completely... It's high risk, so Justin, very low reward in it.
Yeah, but I mean,
interesting that Pacheco pulled out saying he didn't feel he was ready when they're pretty much on the same sort of trajectory scale of their careers.
They are exactly the same trajectory.
Pacheco, you remember we had him pretty highly rated. But I've seen him fight live twice now. His career, his talent, everything has completely plateaued. He has not gotten...
You've got to remember, just, if a Dharm is, and I know it's a different style, complete different style, but if someone at that level can fiddle Hamzah around, I just wonder if they'd be a little bit reluctant with Pacheco. He could fiddle Hamzah around a little bit. Bradley Skeet, I know it's a long time ago, but I just think they want to be certain with Hamzah before you put him in against Pacheco, who is high risk, low reward.
Be like Steve just said, who knows what Pacheco's doing? There was no reason to pull out for
correct.
There was no reason to pull out for this fight unless you just didn't think you could win. I mean, there's no reason to pull out.
But I always said this about Hamzah for years and years. There's something his team didn't fancy in him because correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. He had like 25-0 or he had a ridiculous run, but you couldn't tell me anyone he'd beaten. He didn't go near a British title, and his coming out fight I think was Liam Williams after about sort of 25, 26 bouts. So there's something about the Hamzah group that's quite protective. And for some reason, I just don't think they'll go near a Pacheco who's quite highly ranked and Osnays and Glaziers who's very highly ranked and very, very dangerous. They won't put him in there yet. They've done too much work with him. So I think they'll bring in the Munguias or people like that have got a bit shop worn, very good name brand. But I think they're the ones that Hamzah will get through until they get the big one. And if Steve's right, the winner of Canelo and Billy gets Hamzah, all they've got to do is keep him warm for another 8 months. And I think that's the direction they'll probably go in with Hamzah.
Yeah, I think Turkey's desperate to put Shiraz in with Canelo. And Shiraz has got that Spencer Brown or whatever he's called whispering in his ear as well, which I don't think helps. But we shall see. Shout out to Damo in the chat. He says Wellington sounds like he's calling in from his Zafira. Thanks for letting me know, actually, Damo, because for some reason, StreamYard keeps on changing me from my mic to my earphones or something. So apologies.
Zafira boxing.
Exactly. in case I'm calling, it sounds like I'm calling in from the moon here on Zuffa Boxing, but I don't know why StreamYard keeps doing that, but who cares at the end of the day. Wrapping Rob Kelly's on the call. That's all we need to worry about. Rob, Rico Usyk, we're on to Hamzah Sheeraz, batting the life out to that guy who works as a clerical officer in Switzerland. What are you liking here?
Yeah, it's a lot to like there, isn't it? I'm sure you guys have covered it already. See this, I come on the pod when it's almost over, so that's kind of normally the way it goes. But I didn't watch it live, and then I saw and I was one of the ones who dismissed Rico's chances on here quite fucking vehemently, and I was against this fight in the first place as the heavyweight champion of the world fighting fucking a kickboxer. I didn't know he was being trained by Peter Fury. I had a bit of attention to this fight at all. And then I saw Anthony Fowler predict a sensational upset win
Yes.
about 2 hours beforehand, and I said, "Fuck this gobshite! What's this fucking gobshite talking about? There's no fucking way I'm watching it now. Whatever way."
Up in his video.
Yeah, I said, "Whatever fucking's happening now, I'm definitely not watching it now." So he put me off it altogether, Fowler, and then about half an hour in, I'm looking at Twitter, and everyone's like, "Usyk is fucking 6 rounds down here," and you know Twitter, you take it with a pinch of salt. So I just did like a little word search for Usyk and clicked on latest, and it's like everybody watching the fight was like, he's fucking behind. Like, so I was like, all right, I better stick it on then. So coming towards the end, obviously Usyk is going through the gears, doesn't himself. I watched the highlights back. Where do you start with the stoppage? Like, this is why everybody hates our fucking sport. Like, this is why everybody hates our sport, because you can't have anything, because you could have predicted, you could have seen it coming. If the guy's up on the cards were going to be a draw, right? That's another thing, right? So you just go through the little mental checklist in your head of all the reasons why we can't have nice things, or why you won't get the right outcome here. Like, because Rico's beating his ass, he's up on everybody's cards, not the judges. They don't have him up, but they have a kind of level going into the last round or whatever. The stoppage, while I believe Usyk would have stopped him in the 12th round, let him stop him in the 12th round. Like, don't leave it. What are you doing that for? Like, the bell's fucking gone. I get it, he was in a bad place, but he's just done the almost unbelievable over 11 rounds, and he's coming. Let's have the reputable boxing journalists, not just the layman, reputable boxing journalists were ready to crown Usyk as possibly the greatest heavyweight that ever lived. Believe that kicked about, didn't we? Over the last fucking year or so ago, people were still calling Usyk one of the best ever, if not the best ever heavyweight. Right? I wasn't having that, but that's the gravity of what Rico almost achieved. I didn't know a thing about this guy. I heard he was a very good kickboxer. I didn't know a thing about him, honestly, but I thought he fought very well in the fight. Rangy, could punch. Usyk didn't really know what to do with him. Normally has everybody figured out after about 6 rounds. He hadn't a fucking clue what to do with Rico, and he kept tagging him. And I just think when you put that kind of effort into a fight, you want to see the rightful winner. A lot of people thought maybe Ngannou should have got the nod against Fury. You could see how it was never going to happen with the two big Usyk fights lined up. And I just, everything about that, I hated Turkey Al-Sheikh's futuristic production. I hated that it was at the Pyramids in Giza. I hated that little Rick guy that we have to see now. He's everywhere. That little 4-foot guy with the fucking Versace. We have to see him. He made an arse of it in the ring afterwards. Then, yeah, now we're going to bring in Agit Kabayel in a Germany jersey just before the World Cup, and Turkey walks in the ring. He's like, no, fuck that shit. We're having a rematch in Holland for Nico. And everyone in the crowd was like, what the fuck is going on? Who's this little midget? Why do we have to see him at every fucking event? I hate Turkey Al-Sheikh's events. I hate his involvement in boxing. I hate everything about it. I hate Zuffa boxing. I hate fucking Turkey Al-Sheikh. I hate Mauricio Suleiman. Everyone involved in all this shit. It just stinks to the high hilt. Everything. They were never going to let that guy fucking win the fight. He was never going to get the fucking win. He was winning the fight. The judges were holding him. As soon as Usyk got him in trouble, the ref waved it off. The bell was gone, everything. They couldn't let him sit down in the corner and have a minute to get his legs under him and give himself a chance of pulling off the impossible. No, because the impossible doesn't happen in boxing anymore. Whoever owns it pulls the strings and they write the narrative. You're talking about Hamzah Sheeraz. I think we saw that, didn't we, in the Adamus fight? Didn't Turkey get up in that Adamus fight and tell him that he was losing the fight in the middle of the fucking fight? Yeah. Like, we can't have nice things, and this is why. Give boxing back to a great bunch of lads. Yes, there was a lot of alleged bad things that happened in a cartel war, but at least the fighters were getting paid, and we saw decent scraps. The box was in a better place. This whole blank check boxing where everyone's going to fight everyone and the best are going to fight the best. No, they're not, because the fucking heavyweight champion's fighting the kickboxer, and the kickboxer beats him, you want to win it anyway. So hated the result, hated the outcome, and as I said, this is why everybody hates our sport, because we just can't have a normal fucking outcome ever. We can't have the right guy win. Very rarely, like, very fucking rarely. More often than not, we end up talking about decisions, fellas popping hot, fellas pulling out, fucking bullshit scoring. It's just horrible. And that was the epitome of it last night. And that little fucking Rick, whatever the fuck his name is, wherever he's after coming on, he's really after getting me fucking going, really. Like, he's really fucking winding me up altogether. How the fuck this great sport and all the people that have gone in it and won world titles, and all of a sudden I have to see him everywhere. Like he's like a fucking 90-Day Fiance cast member or something, isn't he? Like he's like, fucking, why am I seeing this guy? Like
he wears the same outfit every fight. Some kind of weird Versace shit he wears. He's so fucking retarded.
He's living his best life. He is, man. He's Revenge of the Nerds.
I feel like if he wasn't involved in boxing, you'd see him on a 90-Day Fiance where he was going to fucking marry one from the Philippines or something, and then doesn't work out when he gets her to the US because she has hopes and dreams too. Do you know what I mean?
But boxing's always had these weird, wonderful characters floating around the ring now. You don't know how they got there. Do you remember, Steve, who was the fella that used to have the blazer but no shirt underneath it back in the 80s? I think he was with Evander Holyfield or
You're talking about Butch Lewis.
Lewis. And then you had
Spinks' manager.
Spinks' manager. And you had Murid Mohammed floating about. How did these guys, me and Steve spoke about Murid a few times, how did these guys get into boxing? And if you fast forward a bit, there was another one that used to float around boxing. Don King's stepson. He used to have a really important part of Carl. Yeah, he used to be involved in all the.
You remember the PBC twins that were fucking annoying as hell. The Watson twins that come out every fight.
You took the words out of my mouth because out of nowhere, Sam Watson and his son appeared. You think, how have they got here? And we're now looking at this fella that Rob's talking about. You think, how have they landed in boxing? What's their route? And to a much smaller degree, we spoke about this yesterday. The Sam Joneses have done the same thing in boxing. How do these people land in boxing? But boxing's littered with them if you go back 40, 50 years.
Well, Des, you remember what Terrence Crawford during the negotiations said, I'm not fucking paying the Watson twins a dime. Because that was part of the contract he had to pay them. And remember, Terrence Crawford's like, Terrence Crawford, I'm not fucking paying the Watson.
Right.
And he actually
it wasn't just them, Justin. It was the dad too, wasn't it?
And Terrence Crawford's like, they don't do a fucking thing. Like, they don't do shit. I'm not paying them anything.
Remember, Twitter
twins,
people used to like photocopy them beyond like the moon landing and all.
Yeah, Terrence Crawford definitely called everybody out. He's like, these guys are like, you've got dudes I've never even met. I've got to give them 10 grand. I got to give this guy 25 grand. He's like, fuck all these guys. They're not getting a dime out of it. Terrence Crawford did it the way it's supposed to be done. Called everybody out. That's why I love Terrence Crawford, because he wouldn't take any shit.
To see the clip of him wrestling during the week, he picked up Jay Apatow like he was a fucking ragdoll over at the photo shoot at Giza. The two men wrestling. Fucking hell.
But he was like a high school state champ. He's legit. His son's like, he is legit wrestler. Terrence Crawford is.
And he's a legit on that snack attack too. It's fucking.
You're going on about great bunch of lads, though, Rob. You can have it all, man. It doesn't have to be either or. Put Rick Reno in the ring with flipping Jerry the monk and all, man. And get them in there together.
I'm reading it in the papers. I'm beginning to think I've done it myself from reading it in the paper.
Jerry all dripped out in Versace, man, in the mid.
Oh, fucking hell. Well, some classes are 10 years overdue. Don't be careful what you wish for.
Oh dear. Right, let's get through this because we've got a few on this week's. James, Jack Catchel, Mr. Excitement, seemingly, against Giyasov. Giyasov just couldn't work out that cagey style, became frustrated, got the face busted up, more ragged, the style just went completely out the window. You know what? I wanted Giyasov to win this. I have nothing against Catchel. We're just sick of the sight of him. He's been around for so long. I just thought fresh face, fresh ideas. But he hasn't got Bozo Ennis in the corner anymore. But he looked really good. And Giyasov just couldn't work him out, James.
Yeah, so who's in his corner now? So I thought he was still with Bozo Edwards.
Well, Stephen Smith, I think, was hanging around there. I'm not sure who the lead trainer was. I thought at first it was Fernandez, but I'm not sure if it was him.
He's with Duran Ennis's dad.
Is he still with him, though? Because he wasn't there. They weren't there, were they? I didn't see them.
They after the end of the fight, they were like, hey, him working with the Ennises has really turned him into this kind of fighter. So they said he was still with them, but I didn't pay attention to who he was with.
I think they've split.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard a report last week that he's left, but Ennis's Bootsy's dad is. So I think he's relocated back to the UK, I think.
Who could have seen that one going around?
Go on.
Chorley to Philly. Back to Chorley again, James. What do you think then? Do you think ditching Bozy was the right move? Because, I mean, yeah, I didn't think that was ever going to work out.
Well, I kind of liked it because it was a bit like West, wasn't it? A bit left field because obviously I think that camp has been accused of being a bit too like pally, matey. Everyone's, fighting on each other's pillows, etc. Like it's a bit like prankster central. And then like maybe it's just an environment where certain fighters at the end of their career kind of go. I mean, Cole Frampton springs to mind. I feel like Shane McGuigan's a bit of a tough taskmaster, and that's why he gets good results. But I think Frampton had fucking had it up to here and getting ripped off left, right, and centre. But it seems to me like a place where people go to enjoy themselves rather than strive.
Yeah, the Jamie Moore banter factory, like getting Tommy Coyle pulling your shorts down in the corner and all.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe Catterall was thinking he needs something a little bit more, productive at this stage in his career. But I think there's only so much you can learn. And I only caught the highlights of this fight because I was thinking, but I like Catterall as well. It's a similar thing. I mean, he absolutely got jobbed out of it against Taylor. He should have been undisputed champ. There's no two ways about it. Since then, I think he's been, I don't know if it's a combination of mismanagement or underperformances or strange performances against, who's your man he lost to? The Hispanic guy. What was his name again? Barboza, yeah, he was a little bit lackluster in that fight, although Barboza's decent, but he kind of undone Catterall with a fairly basic game plan. And then you're thinking, okay, what am I getting out of watching this guy? He seems like a fairly good character, but in terms of watching him, I never get too much out of it, really, even though I want him to do well. I don't know how much he's got left at this kind of level, you know what I mean? Like against an opponent who I'd never heard of before. You know what I mean? How am I supposed to sink my teeth into his journey? He's like the antithesis to Hamzah Sheeraz. He's like no excitement whatsoever. So he's still knocking around, still winning, but it's underwhelming. You know what I mean? His style is kind of like his career in a certain kind of way.
Underwhelming. Yeah, I always thought he was a bit of a naive guy. Like, I mean, he signs with MTK, signs with Provellum.
Not wrong with that.
Has vape companies all over his sponsorship. Signs with Sam Jones. I mean, you kind of think he would flipping buy the magic beans. Like
Zuffa's got to be next then.
Zuffa's going to be next to get a fight with Conor Ben. It's a natural. Yeah,
that's what he's. That was a good win though. Giyasov is a decent fighter. Yeah. That was a good win. I mean, people give Catterall hell, but he actually looked pretty good last night. His style just completely destroyed Giyasov. He had no answer for that kind of style. So it was a good win. We make fun of it, but that was a good career starter again, if you were looking at it that way.
Yeah. I know there's Rob, actually you've unmuted. James mentioned about possible mismanagement and stuff. I think that he's had a lot of opportunities, Catchel, hasn't he? So he's probably been managed okay, really.
Well, I remember when James English was about to release a podcast with a fellow who was allegedly involved in boxing called Daniel Kinnan, and he spoke about the decision with Josh Taylor and Jack Catterall, and he said he'd spent a lot of time with them and their families. So yeah, he definitely had a manager who was capable of pulling things off. I like Catchel. I think he's a very good fighter. I think he has a good style that works well to get you over the line and get you the W's, but he doesn't have a TV friendly style. He doesn't have a TV friendly style. He's not a great talker. He's from Charlie, so he kind of doesn't have the kind of appeal or star power to really go to the next level in the sport. So in order for him to kind of clean up, he'd have to be dominant, wouldn't he? And just rack up win after win and defense after defense. And I don't know if that's going to happen for him. He's had chances. I think the loss to Barboza was a deserved one, and he has that style as well that if he comes up against someone and he's behind in the fight, I don't know if he has that kind of. I don't think he necessarily has that change in him where he can go through the gears and up at the levels and make something happen if he's behind. So he's good. He's got. I think, like I said, I like watching him because I think he has a style that'll beat most guys. But it's just not TV friendly.
He can punch, Rob. I think he can punch.
Yeah, sneaky puncher, isn't he?
Conservatism. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's decent. He's decent all around. He seems like a good lad as well. In fairness, and jokes aside, he seems like a good lad. So, good to see him getting a run out on that card. But like all these things, it's like what's next for him? Where's he go next? What's the possible I mean, Conor Benn fight is probably there, isn't it? But they'd never give him a Conor Benn fight because he'd probably just box the ears off Conor Benn, and that'd be that, like, wouldn't it?
Well, it'd probably be something like that because he's got the WBA regular title now. Because Rolly Romero was the WBA world champion, and he was supposed to defend against Giyasov, but they elevated Rolly, didn't they, to super champion? So Catchel then beat Giyasov for this regular bollocks.
Well, I see him versus Rolly. I'm not mad at that fight. I'd watch that. Like, that's not bad. I'm not mad at that at all. Rolly be waiting for a bigger payday, I'm sure, but that's not bad. I'm not mad at that at all.
A friend of mine interviewed Rolly the other day, Rob, and he said he kept talking about all the investments he's made and was talking about mineral trading at the end of the interview. So
I hope there were smarter investments than a certain friend of ours who was fucking telling us lies all over the years about the smart investments that he made.
Exactly.
Rolly has the minerals for it. Rolly has the minerals for sure.
Oh dear me, Des. Moving on from Catchel, more excitement in the heavyweights. Frank Sanchez against Richard Torres. You mentioned Sanchez earlier as a possible Usyk opponent. I fancied Sanchez beforehand. I was surprised at how many people were picking Torres. I'm not really an after timer here, but I haven't seen in a while, Des, a first round that was such a portent of how a fight would go, because I was watching Sanchez in that first round, timing that uppercut, time and time again, trying to find his range. And then there was a replay at the end of the first round where Torres got him on the ropes and threw the widest left hook you've ever seen in your life. Sanchez was backed onto the ropes, hit him with a counter shot, just sort of missed him, caught him around the side of the head. And I thought to myself, this isn't going to end well. And in round two, he absolutely nailed him with that exact same punch, man. Torres was just far too small, I think, Des.
And it looks a little bit away with the fairies to me, Torres. I'm not quite sure he's really dialed into heavyweight pro boxing and the demands at that level. I mean, he's got this far, and guys like Justin for the last 18 months have been really downplaying Torres and saying, don't expect too much of this kid. And he's absolutely right. Funny one last night, because you'd expect, look, early doors, Torres should have all his wits about him, go and feel Sanchez out, and have a good look at him for 2 or 3 or 4 rounds, and then get a rhythm going. He didn't do none of that. He seemed to get stuck in the mud very early, and in that passage of punches that caught Torres out, it was quite unusual, because Torres slipped to the inside of Sanchez's jab, which is really unusual for a good fighter, because normally they slip on the outside and then they shoot their jab over. But and almost Sanchez's jab protects him, but he slipped inside and he stayed there. So he stayed on the line, and it wasn't a particularly good jab by Sanchez, more of a pouring jab. And the right hand, he pushed it out down the line, and it kind of caught Sanchez. I don't know if it was on the chin or around the ear roll or just above the ear near the temple, but it didn't even look the sort of shot that would knock out a heavyweight prospect. But I'm not here to write anybody off, and it's up to Torres what he does now. But from what I've been told, from what I've seen with my own eyes, I'm not quite sure if Torres has got the goods. It might be for the money he's received since he got silver. It might be for the profile he's had for what he's done, which is quite limited. But I don't see much of a future in Torres at the moment. I don't think Sanchez goes much further, and last night's not really a good gauge. But I think that win has definitely, like it always does in heavyweight boxing, it definitely put Sanchez in a good place. But yeah, not much to talk about this one, Steve. It was like a calamity for about 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes it went for. And I just thought that it was a bit of I think it was one wicket after another, and Torres got caught out very early.
Justin, a few years ago, people were pitting up Richard Torres and Jared Anderson as the 2 future stars of heavyweight American boxing. You need to drag out Jonathan Guidi, man, because how's things going?
Terribly. I think Des just called it. I never thought he was any good. This is what he had going for him. He is American. He's got Hispanic background, so they're trying to push that part of it. He's got a cool looking mustache, and he's got an amateur pedigree, but he just wasn't that good. And I said this years ago when Jalilov absolutely annihilated him in the amateurs. That's it. He was never going to be a great heavyweight. It was never going to happen. I don't care about the size. He just wasn't that good. So now in his career, he's done nothing, and he has been embarrassed on national TV twice now. he's going nowhere. He needs to really hang it up. There's nowhere he could go unless he could crawl down to cruiserweight maybe or something. He might be in a fight or two. But him and I thought Anderson was terrible when he first came out. We are so desperate for anything as far as heavyweight boxing, American-wise. You don't have to be that good. You just have to have something they could push. And it was terrible. Anderson looked so stupid coming out. He was awful. We already see what he is. He got exposed. Torres has been just completely wiped out twice. It's done. American boxing is done right now. There's no heavyweights coming up anytime soon. I don't know if they ever will. Wilder was just like a freak of nature, kind of randomly just showed up. If you go through the amateur part over here in this country, we are not producing. I don't know if we will ever have another stud heavyweight champion. I don't know if ever. There's just nobody.
What about Joshua Edwards? Do you like the look of him, the Golden Boy prospect? He fought at the Olympics.
He's okay. I just don't know if I think he's size-wise limited too. He's like 6'. I know he's 6'3" or 6'4", but he's years away. We're talking about 3 or 4 years before we even see if he's got anything because he's really raw. I know he's with the Steels down there and all them guys. He's got good trainers. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I would like it to. I would like it. It's cool. I think boxing is better when you have a superstar American heavyweight champion. I think it's always been better if you have a stud. And not trying to knock the Europeans, the British guy. I'm not trying to knock all that. But y'all would all agree this boxing's better when you have a superstar American boxer who's leading the way. It just is. It always has been. And I mean, there's no way to argue that. We don't have anybody coming anytime soon that's going to take over that. So I'm not worried about it. Torres, if you saw, though, where he got hit with that punch, his whole face was swollen up. I mean, he got nailed. That was a good shot. I know Des said he didn't think it was hard enough, but his whole face was messed up from as soon as he got up. I mean, I remember the paramedics running in. It was bad. And Sanchez, I'll say this about Sanchez. I'm not one of these guys about the physique. I have never seen him look like that. He was 3 times bigger than he's ever been. When he walked in the ring, I looked at him. I said, "For God, he looked incredibly.
He looked massive, didn't he? The first 10 seconds, when they sort of weighed
each
other up. I thought, he's small.
His arm. Go back and look at Sanchez from like a year and a half ago. He is 3 times bigger than he was. You cannot physically do that. It's against human. It's against everything. He was enormous last night. I'm not saying that factored in, but it did help Torres. It definitely did not help him that Sanchez looked like some kind of Marvel comic book character in the ring.
Do you think Sanchez was roided up to the gills?
Allegedly. I think allegedly, yes. I've never seen Sanchez that big. He looked massive. No, he did have 1 ounce of body fat. He was straight chiseled.
There you are. Chiseled specimen. I tell you what, I actually thought James Sanchez got a bit of a raw deal afterwards when he just sparked out Torres in the second round and the Ring magazine put up their big graphic for their heavyweight top 10. And at number 8, they had Eifert Jagba, who Sanchez dropped and dominated like 3 years ago and has barely had a meaningful win since. And at 9, they had Richard Torres, who Sanchez had just sparked out in the second round. And Sanchez was nowhere to be seen on the top 10. Talk about politics. We need to get this guy in the top 10, man.
Well, it's classic Cubans, isn't it? Like, outside of boxing, like boxing fans, who knows about Rigondo and Erislandy Lara? And like, do you know what I mean? Like, they're the classic litmus test, but unpromotable, realistically. That was
James, they're going to care about the Cubans next week, so we'll get to that. They'll care next week.
We're getting there. Yeah.
But I thought that was a pretty sweet knockout, man. And I thought it was kind of hilarious that the ref was still counting at 8 and 9 and 10. You know what I mean? As a contrast to the main event.
That's my kind of ref, man. I love it.
He was stretching out, legs stiff. 8, 9. It's like this fight was over as soon as that shot landed. And just draws to mind. There's no standard, is there really, for refereeing? They just do what they like.
I like Steve. I like it. Hey, you got to give a 10 count. Give him the count. I mean, you never know. He might pull a Fury.
Yeah, he might. He might, but is Is this the forum where you're going to see the Undertaker? Because he was gone.
God, he was gone. If you see the replay, his eyes rolled. His eyes were closed before he went down. He was completely gone.
So what are you thinking then, James? Maybe an opportunity for Sanchez, or you're not bothered?
So, well, he's one of those all risks, no reward type guys, isn't he? So I can't see him moving much further up into the top 10 if he cracks it at all. I mean, like, what's in it for anyone to fight
Nothing.
this guy? Do you know
I agree. Yeah, nothing. There's the referee, Earl Brown. What do you think, Rob? Looking all pleased with himself. Why not, man? Give the fella the 10 count. Want to make sure things are done properly.
Yeah, you can never be too careful. You know that way. Yeah.
I like to know the three guys that are following him. I guess they're just big fans of Earl Brown.
Did you see that one, Rob? Torres against Sanchez? What did you make of it?
Yeah, it reminds me of another knockout that I saw recently, but I can't think which one. But yeah, I think everybody's right in what they were saying. We like an American heavyweight. Even on this side, we like an American heavyweight. It was boring when it was like as good as the two Klitschko's were when they dominated and they took it away from Lennox and they took over. It was kind of boring, wasn't it? It was jab and grab and left hook, and there was no one that could touch them. And then it all opened up, and we had British heavyweights, and Wilder was back in the mix. And the guys are right. Like, there was Anderson, there was all these guys that were kind of. Remember, there was a couple as well. Fucking what's his name from the Kronk? Jonathan Banks knocked one of them out, who was really highly touted at one stage. They were linebackers like that. They were getting behind around the time of Wilder.
Oh, Seth Mitchell.
Seth Mitchell, yeah. There's a couple of them, isn't it? So anybody at all that's over 6 foot, that's around 200 pounds, Americans will say this is the next heavyweight hope, and they'll kind of put their weight behind them, like, no pun intended. And Torres was one of them, but he was one of these guys that he looked great knocking over tomato cans. He looked like he can punch. I'm with Daisy. He looks a bit away with the fairies, to say the least. But he'd probably make more money on the old kick these days, wouldn't he? Like, with AB and the boys, like, just going around like with his fucking mustache and his curly hair. Like, he'd probably make more money as a streamer than he would as a fighter. Like, yeah, he was gonna, like, not saying this is the end of him. Anybody can be knocked out in the heavyweights, but that kind of knockout is like, it was funny listening to Bomac beforehand. He was like, yeah, you want the money's going to come. We're chasing that legacy. And Torres was just looking at him like, yeah. And I was like, he don't even fucking believe this himself. He's toast here. Like, he's not listening to one word Bomac is saying, man. Bomac is talking all that shit like that. He says that he's able to say with good fighters and get him motivated. Like, Torres was looking at him like, yeah, fuck the money, son. The money's going to come. This is about legacy. And he's like, yep. I was like, he's fucking out of here. Like, Frank Sanchez, he's a big old unit as well. Like, I think Torres is too small for him to be a modern day heavyweight, in all honesty.
I agree.
I think he's probably a bridgerweight, isn't he? But
he's too small. Yeah, too small.
What the fuck is bridgerweight? Has there ever been a competitive fight at bridgerweight?
Isn't he, Rob? Next.
Yeah, let's hope so.
The problem we've got, Robbie, is Sanchez don't speak English and Usyk's pidgin English, isn't he? So if you're going to sell that one, it's a tough sell.
Yeah.
Imagine the banter.
Yeah. No, Frank Sanchez I think the heavyweight title is going to be decided by whoever the fuck this little Rick Reno and Turkey Al-Sheikh decide. Like, do you know what I mean? So last night, for a minute, it was going to be Kabayel. He was the man, and then it was like Turkey changed his mind. It's not going to be Kabayel anymore. It's going to be Rico again. So who knows what the fuck is going to happen? Who's going to get the shot? When it's going to fragment, what's going to happen, who knows? Like, but probably whoever deserves to get a shot, like the likes of Kabayel and Frank Sanchez, they can fucking forget about it. Because if you can't sell a ticket, you're not going to be worth the fuck. Like, so that was a great marketing plan by Rick Reno, though, wasn't it? Put Kabayel in the ring in the Germany jersey in the middle of Egypt. That'll get everybody riled up. Like,
you think Turkey like takes his aggression out on Reno backstage, like slaps him around the head and stuff?
He's doing an Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith on him, and he hit him in the body and all of the
Here's a
told you, Rick. What the fuck are you doing?
Here's a random German soccer fact. The national team is actually training 16 minutes from my house.
Fuck off! What?
Yeah. Wake Forest is the big university near me. They're like, they have an incredible soccer center or whatever the hell you want to call it. They have like 8 fields. It's really nice, and so they're training there for like 2 weeks. So that's kind of, I mean, I guess I go watch them because you can actually stand in the tree line and watch everything. I mean, that's just talking about Germany.
Careful doing that.
Yeah, that's pretty. So they're actually selling passes because they've had like 8,000 people try to show up for that to watch them trade, and they have to like turn people away now. And it's 16 minutes from my house. I know a guy who works the groundskeeper over there. I'll probably just sneak in and talk some shit to somebody. Kabayel probably be there. Kabayel be there with the stock. Kabayel
definitely be
with the soccer jersey.
There. He's definitely going to be there. 100%. Let's fucking roll Kabayel out to the wilder world. Get him fucking. That's a big market apply, isn't it? Get Kabayel in the ring in Egypt with a Germany jersey on, and that'll really fucking sell him to the public.
1990 Germany jersey.
Yeah. Get Jürgen Klinsmann is walking up to the ring in the next fucking fight.
Andreas Bremer holding the WBC title.
Fuck's sake.
So so Usyk would have to get like Shevchenko to clear him out, and they would have to.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh dear. Des, sorry, did you have anything you wanted to add there?
No, I was going to add something boxing related, but no, don't worry about it. Go on, I'm joking. Go on, don't worry about it. I was only gonna, don't worry about it.
Let's not bother with anything boxing related. No, I was joking. Go ahead, dude.
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Go on, crack on, Steve. Crack on, mate.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Right, guys, it's 9:45. Boxing Asylum, episode 663. Des is on the call with us, so is Rob, so is James, and Justin. Good to see everybody in the chat. Over 5,000 in the chat, so they're enjoying themselves. Don't forget to hit the like. Hit the like. If we get 50 likes, I'll do a Belly of the Week next week. How about that? 50 likes, I'll do a Belly of the Week next week. Can't say fairer than that, Rob. He agrees.
Seems like a realistic proposition.
We also got Belly of the Week for Eddie Hearn's hair because it was blowing his little strands.
Oh my god!
Oh, he put his cap on, didn't he?
He had to put the hat. He had to put the hat on.
Oh, the hair was hanging on for dear life in the Egypt knife.
Yeah, he kept putting it. He actually had his hand on his hair, like trying to hold it, and then he put the hat on,
so it didn't blow off.
Yeah.
Oh, it was hilarious. At one stage, like all of it was still, but like, it was like just one wisp that was going 90 in the air, like it was going. It was like a fucking antenna off the side of his head. Like it was fucking amazing.
Eddie's hair ended up in the spit bucket.
It's going to be here today, gone.
Oh dear me. Right. Let's move on quickly. Before we do the previews, I'm going to do a few on this week's. Not going to spend too much time on these, but we do like a bit of history, a bit of nostalgia on the pod. So I don't know if anybody remembers this one. I'm sure the guys do. 22nd of May 1993, Roy Jones captured his first world title, convincing points win over American Bernard Hopkins to win the vacant IBF world middleweight title. Jones had a hand injury. He won by scores of 116, 112 on all three scorecards. I haven't watched this fight in a long, long time. But he stepped up about a year later. I think he stepped up. He beat James Toney around that time as well. Here's a bit of trivia for you. Anybody on the panel wants to answer this one. Bernard suffers his first loss in a long time. He would not be defeated for another 12 years. So 2005 was the next time after this defeat that Bernard actually tasted defeat. Who beat him in July 2005?
Mercado, was it? Was it Mercado, Steve?
Jermaine Taylor. It was Jermaine Taylor.
Right. Mercado was a draw.
Mercado was a draw. Good shout though. Up in Venezuela. It was Jermaine Taylor 2005. Beat him in July and then again in December. If you remember that one, Rob, I think didn't Jermaine Taylor sweep the first 7 rounds? Bernard did nothing. Then he won the next 5 and moaned the next few years saying he should have got the fight.
It was tight fight, but. Taylor probably took it on activity. Yeah, took it on activity in the first.
I think it was an easy fight to score, Rob. You give the first 7 to Jermaine because Bernard done nothing. He won the next 5 clear, but you've lost 7-5. You know what I mean? Simple as.
Yeah. Well, listen, B-Hop's maths are fucking B-Hop's maths, you know that way, and B-Hop's logic is B-Hop's logic. So fucking, if he just fucking accepted defeat, he wouldn't be B-Hop, would he? Like, I think he thought the Kovalev fight was a close one, you know that way.
Even I was calling for that one to be stopped in the last round, and everyone knows how bloodthirsty I am. Float me.
Yeah, stop the fight. That was a bad one. Yeah. That's but yeah. So it was Jermaine Taylor, and then after that, he went up and went up the super middle, and then being the petty asshole that he is, because Kelly Pavlik knocked out Jermaine Taylor, he went and fucking got a fight with Kelly Pavlik at Catchel and destroyed him.
That's right.
Shout out B-Hop.
Certainly did. Yeah, good old B-Hop. Good shout on the McCardo.
Whatever about what's...
Yeah.
Mercado did the old Chad Dawson on him, didn't he? Picked him up and speared him into the ground like a rugby player in the first fight. That was a draw. They're actually worth watching again. But whatever you do, friends of the pod, do not watch the fucking rematch of Bernard Hopkins and Roy Jones, because that was an absolute stinker, horrible stinker, awful. Jones off the back of a one round KO loss in Australia to Danny Green, where Bernard was campaigning for the fight and said, "I think they stopped it too early."
That's right. I remember that, the rematch, 2014.
That Roy Jones fight, Steve, was a brilliant learning curve. It was a brilliant test. We don't sort of see them sort of test no more, do we? Like, Roy Jones was an outstanding amateur, came back from Seoul as an absolute national hero, went on this fantastic run where he was lightning, and Hopkins had come around the other way, just coming out of prison, building a career, losing his debut, getting a night bus home with Bowie Fisher, and then getting that fight where they both fought for the IBF title. And we know about Roy Jones, one of the greatest fighters of our lifetimes, but Hopkins had to go the long way round again, and it was that. Where did you say he fought Mercado, Steve? Was it Venezuela?
It was Ecuador. Sorry, it was Ecuador, and it was up in the mountains, very high altitude, wasn't it?
Right. So he got the draw out there, and they brought him back to America, and I think Hopkins won the immediate return.
Yep.
He stopped him in the rematch, didn't he?
Right, and that was when we saw this brilliant version of Bernard Hopkins. And if you think about the guys, we all remember him fighting, like the John David Jacksons and the Glenn Johnsons, and he fought Robert Allen, and he fought Antoine Eccles and Sid Vanderpool, Keith Holmes, the Trinidad fight in that brilliant tournament Don King was hosting. And then it all culminated in the Oscar De La Hoya fight, which was huge for boxing. And that was when, like, maybe Bernard Hopkins is the last type of Marvin Hagler, the guy that wasn't meant to make it, lost a few, but did get to the top eventually.
He did. I remember that Hopkins fight. Hopkins Eastman. I really thought that Eastman was going to do something. On Mick Hennessy had built him up.
That was a stinker as well.
Terrible
Awful fight.
He just
Eastman didn't come to fight. Yeah, Eastman didn't come to fight. He did. But yes,
Eastman always switched off, Rob, didn't he? Against William Joppy, against Abrahams, against Miranda, against Hopkins,
Sergei Tatevosian.
Yeah, whenever he had it against him, I mean, he was a man and a brilliant fighter, Eastman. But whenever he had a mountain to climb, he didn't quite want to put the work in, did he?
People used to be so hard on Hopkins when he was fighting. They were so hard on him, on his style, everything. I think there was a bit of residue over the Kazagi stuff as well on this side of the pond. People hated him, but I fucking loved watching Bernard Hopkins fight, because
I did.
He would do everything. The little take a walk, him and Nazim, the little slang that they had with each other in the corner about tipping your hat to him and take a walk and all this kind of fucking stuff. He'd be doing all this shit in the ring. He was so scientific.
Yeah.
His feints, even like when his legs went, his feints and his boxing IQ were having him winning world titles against fellas that he had just a higher boxing IQ and a higher fitness level than fellas 20 years younger than him. He was able to school him, take him to school, and literally the epitome of old man in him, like hitting him in the kidneys, dipping his fucking head as he was coming in.
You said something there, Rob, that I've never really thought of it like this, but we spoke about Roy Jones and how brilliant he was, and we all think he's amazing. But I've got more fascination with Hopkins' career for everything.
Yeah. So like one of the things that he used to do the best, especially as his legs went, when he went past middleweight, as he got up the weights, when he was operating as a light heavyweight, the times like when he's like schooling Pascal and Tavoris Cloud and these guys, like phenomenal, really. Like that he had a second career, like after the 20 defenses at middleweight, like he used to do this thing where he'd feint the jab to the body, shoot the straight right over, and straight into a clinch. And with the clinch came a headbutt, and then there'd be a fucking punch on the top of the leg or a punch around the side as well from the referee. Stand on your foot, fucking pull your head down, all kinds of. And it was just dark arts, and you just had fellas bamboozled. Like poor Pascal didn't know what to fucking do with him. Like by the time I think Pascal dropped him twice, I think in the first fight, and then by the time Hopkins got into his rhythm and just started stabbing him to the body and moving him around, Pascal was a busted flush in the second fight. He didn't know what to do with him. Like, amazing.
You're very true there. What you said about him. He had two careers. He had the middleweight career, then after middleweight career, very similar to Roberto Duran, who had that 10-year career at lightweight, than the after lightweight career. Very
because he
similar
took
to Duran in
he took the
every way.
Pavlik fight after the Calzaghe fight, and me being a Hopkins fan, I was thinking this might be a step too far here. Like maybe we've seen, because that's the way it goes, isn't it? Fighters get to a certain age, and then that's their fucking they expire. Like their bodies expire. You can't do nothing about it. Like, but especially
But
boxing
that was
IQ.
some run.
That was
the
the
Rob from Kelly Pavlik onwards. That was some run as
Yeah.
well.
unbelievable. Yeah, didn't lose again. I think it's till COVID or Chad Dawson beat him. I think, and then I think that's one of the ones he lost fair and square. There was no in the rematch. I think Chad Dawson in the first fight did the Mercado on him where he faded injury and blah blah blah.
That's right.
And then Dawson beat him kind of decisively in the second fight. But then even after that, he came back and won titles against Cloud and fucking Pascal. After that, incredible.
Very, very incredible. Yeah.
Justin, you got anything to throw in there?
No, I mean they subbed it up. I just like that. I always like Hopkins when he was the executioner more than the other shit he did. But I like
the alien. You don't like the alien, no.
When I watched him fight Shumenov, he was the alien. But I like that he come out with the.
Shumenov, remember him? Yeah.
I like when he come out with the guy dressed as the executioner for that Roy Jones fight was funny as shit. He had the damn big ass freaking axe and shit. That was just Hopkins being who he was. But for Hopkins, the biggest thing for me was. I mean, I knew about him. I'd watched his fights, but when he beat the shit out of Trinidad was absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
when he shut that whole crowd up. And I remember watching that fight. I was like, here he comes. I said, he comes up with his little executioner mask on. The crowd was just, that crowd, I don't think Hopkins had maybe 2 fans that were actually there for him.
He played a blind though, didn't he? Because he'd thrown the flag down and all in the build-up and 9/11 and all that.
And he just beat Trinidad like a bitch. Beat the hell out of him in that fight.
Why won't you give him any credit, George? Remember
Yeah. He need to watch out any minute now. Felix.
That's right. Oh, he doesn't want to stand with a puncher. Why didn't you give him any credit, George?
Is that that's the definition of a guy like in Trinidad who'd kind of not handed to him, but hadn't had to go through the wars as Hopkins had, and Hopkins just won every battle, the mental battle, every battle he won. It beat the hell out of him. That was great. I love that.
That was a really good tournament and one of Don King's, last finest hours. And it was, I'm not glorifying it, and I'm not celebrating it, but it comes so close to 9/11 as well, and it was in Madison Square Garden, and when Tito come out, the whole place was charged. And you're right, it was Hopkins the executioner that night, and that's still one of the best ring walks you're ever going to see if you ever go on YouTube and watch it. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that was one of the ones me dad got one over on me, like, because I thought Trinidad had beat Hopkins, because I was just on board with the hype train. When you're younger, like you go with the hype.
He had a battered Joppy, hadn't he? And he looked brilliant, battering Joppy.
He's like, I don't give a fuck. He's like, a welterweight is not knocking out. He's like, no chance. He's like, Hopkins will stop him. I was like, yeah, fuck off, will you? Fucking stop. And then there you go. Just shows what the fuck do I know.
Trinidad did to Joppy a job that was much better than what Hopkins ever did. So, it was quite, and we'd all grown up with Trinidad coming through 47 thinking, wow, this guy is a superstar. He's a Latino superstar and a genuine superstar, probably the biggest Latino fighter since Duran. So we thought that was going to happen. We thought he'd have too much and he was a promoted kid. And Madison Square Garden was Puerto Rican that night. It was a brilliant fight.
Was there something with the raps? Was there something with the raps that night that the same, because it was Richardson? There was something with the raps, wasn't there?
There was something they were bitching about. I remember that they were bitching about something the way his hands were done.
Yeah, that was because because Richardson famously spotted the Margarito hand wraps, wasn't he, in the night versus Mosley? Was that him? No, there was this. Yeah, it was Richardson that had basically had opened up the whole. What's the fuck's his name?
Cotto Margarito.
Margarito, yeah. So when Margarito fought Mosley, Richardson spotted the hand wraps had plaster Paris in them. And then Mosley went out and destroyed him, didn't he, on the night? So, and then there was something similar, I think, there was something similar about Trinidad's hand wraps as well that Richardson had spotted that he complained about. I could be getting that wrong. Internet, tell me the truth if I am.
Sounds right. The chat. Yeah. Right, I just have a couple more quick ones. This could go on, but sure, we're having a good time. Anyway, Des, we mentioned this beforehand. It seems a little bit sort of nondescript, but actually the more you look into this one, this is the best picture I could get of Audley, by the way. But in 31st of May, 2003, Audley beat Matthew Ellis, who was a decent kid from Blackpool. High hopes, but he never quite made it. I actually saw Tony Bellew beat him in Belfast once. But the point being, Herbie was on it. No, not Herbie, sorry. We're getting to him. Audley was on his run. Battered Ellis in 2 or 3 rounds on the BBC. They were talking about, which seems bizarre now, but this was back in the day, about a possible fight between Audley and a 41-year-old Frank Bruno. The fight never came to pass because Bruno's mental health issues were too great. But on the night after he'd beaten Ellis, Des, and I believe you said you were there, Herbie Hyde stormed ringside, allegedly pushed a woman off her seat. He was there in his fancy suit and his big watch, and it ended up in an absolute riot on the BBC. He started throwing hands. Audley was shouting, "Get Herbie Hyde out of here." What do you remember from that night, Des?
Well, I remember it was incredibly hot. It was like everyone was sweating. It was like it is this weekend, to be honest. It was incredibly hot. It was like a pressure cooker in there. And Andy Lowe and Neil Linford fought 10 rounds in a brilliant fight. It was a fantastic TV fight and the fight of the night. And both them kids have to be mentioned if we're going to talk about this card. Andy Lowe and Neil Linford are brilliant. I think it was for the Southern Area belt or something like that. It was a fantastic fight. Audley's career was pretty much how not to have a career. And I mean that in the most respect, because I've got a lot of respect for Audley and what he achieved. But he was the first of his kind. And by the time Audley got in the ring with Matthew Ellis, it's hard to believe, Steve, if you cast your mind back, a lot of the country had turned against Audley. He become this. It had such soft matchmaking. He was essentially his own manager, his own promoter. He had a really big TV deal, and he was trying to get a big fight with Frank Bruno. And at that time, I think Lennox Lewis piped up and said, "Frank, if you're short with a few bob, I'll lend you the money." And it all become a little bit toxic. And it was that time, Steve, that we often speak about in the early noughties, where you had a lot going on in London. There's a lot of shows in London. You had Eugene Maloney, Frank Warren with Sports Network, Barry Hearn was doing bits, Jess Harding was a promoter, and who was the other one, Steve, that they used to promote the Jewish heavyweight that you're going to tell me?
Waterman.
Waterman was another promoter in London that had TV and all that. And Mick Hennessy had
Roman Greenberg.
Roman Greenberg. So there's a lot going on in London, and Audley didn't quite have the platform he wanted, although he had a brilliant TV deal. Anyway, Herbie Hyde, I don't know how Herbie was there, but if you recall, Herbie had started being, I think Herbie was getting promoted by Mick Hennessy at the time. And he'd come back as a cruiserweight, or he's bouncing between cruiser and heavyweight
on the BBC.
On the BBC, and Audley was on the, and they were trying to, between Herbie and Audley, they were trying to build something. All of Audley's security were his mates. It all got very personal. Chairs started to get thrown about. There was a lot of local urban sitting ringside that felt offended that their wives had drinks thrown over them, and people had been pushing and shoving, and people would get pushed off the chairs. It wasn't a very good look for boxing, and it was probably, I mean, could you imagine if that type of thing happened now at an Anthony Joshua fight? It would really be, it would be frowned upon. And that's why I say Audley was the first of his kind. He was the first gold medalist at super heavyweight. He was the first one that we could talk about being a multi-million pound, even a billion-pound fighter. And a lot of mistakes were made. And because of Audley, so much had been put in place in terms of elite performance programs and funding, and amateur boxing in this country being kept on, and the Olympics being such a big deal for our amateur sport, and moving forward, how boxers can sort of negotiate the right broadcast deals and network deals. And after all, of course, we had a brilliant Amir Khan and the brilliant Beijing squad, and then 2012 was like, now we know how to do this. But I remember that night very well. I remember Audley's career very well. It was just a fun time. It was a fun time for a lot of us in amateur boxing and pro boxing. It was a fun time for London boxing. There were so many promoters, as I said before. And when I see that picture of Audley on the screen now, I remember it very, very well. not much more I can say. I'll never be disrespectful to Audley because I know he was a trailblazer in many respects, and he done things first time for a lot of kids. And there's a lot of kids now that have benefited from Audley's mistakes. So yeah, I remember that night very well, Steve.
Brilliant stuff. There's a great trip down memory lane with old Audley. Yeah, that picture was of the prize fighter a little bit later on.
Saw Audley fight.
Rob.
I was at the in the Excel Arena in London when Amir
Danny
Khan
Williams.
fought Oshin on
Williams.
the. No, it was Big Rogie. I saw the fight.
He fought Rogie at the Excel, did he?
He fought Rogie on the undercard of Amir Khan and
right.
Oshin Fagan. Half of fucking Belfast was in there. There was some very choice songs that went down really well with the crowd that night, I remember.
Fair play to Rogie, man. Beat Audley and then went on to beat Matt Skelton.
Apparently went into the dressing room afterwards and shouted taxi for Harrison, which was a bit much. Like, it would have been, but it's Belfast. What can you do? Because he was taxi driver, Ronnie Rogan. Like,
that's right. That was the shtick. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Lovely stuff. Thanks very much, boys. The trip down memory lane.
Sorry, Steve. Steve, last thing I'll say. It's interesting how Audley came back into it because we just going down memory lane. I remember when Audley was an amateur and he campaigned for funding for amateur boxers. And then when he turned pro, he brought the BBC back into boxing. And years after that picture was taken, a few years before that picture was taken, you said that was a prize fighter picture, didn't you?
Yes.
That's at your call there. I can see the balcony behind him. A few years before that, Audley was walking through a casino, bumped into Eddie Hearn, and they had a conversation. They had a coffee, and it was Audley and Eddie that said, "Let's bring you back. Let's put you in a prize fighter. Let's then put you in for a European title fight with Michael Sprott." Audley knocked Michael Sprott out in the last 30 seconds of the 12th round in a fight he was losing.
Yes.
And that gave him a top 15 ranking, which allowed him to have a voluntary take on a voluntary for David Haye, which was a disaster. But Audley's had such a significant role in so many
killed pay-per-view.
And that's
yeah.
I had a real beef with fucking Harrison for that. Forget about the everything else that went on. I had a fight party in my house that night, and I paid the fucking whatever it was, £30 for the fucking Sky pay-per-view, and the fucker never threw a punch for the whole fight. Fucking. And
if you thought Audley was bad as a heavyweight, no disrespect, David Haye's heavyweight run was awful as well. I think he went. Steve, who did he box on his heavyweight debut? Steve, the kid that jumped over the top rope.
Monty Barrett.
Monty Barrett, and then he fought Audley, and then he stunk the place out. Against,
he fought the big Russian.
Oh no! He
had Valuev. He had Valuev in a very controversial fight.
Yeah.
By the way, I never thought like my admiration for David Haye has gone up post retirement. Actually, I think a lot of them these days, especially some of his views, I can get down with a lot of them. But he's
see value the week next week.
Yeah. I thought he lost that fight, but if you remember, the WBA had been pressured into holding an inquiry as to how Valuev had got a decision over Holyfield in the previous fight. So Holyfield had beat the shit out of Valuev and not got the decision. And then it was a tight one. And I remember the BBC were saying like he needs a knockout. I was watching I was out somewhere and I was looking at remember on the BlackBerry you used to be able to get the live feed on the BBC like round by round, and they were saying he needed a knockout and everything going into the last round, but he got the decision. And fair play to him. A lot of troubles were created off the back of his heavyweight success, so you have to have admiration.
And if we're talking about that little period of time, like that whole sort of that train wreck of Audley Harrison and then the David Haye thing and everything he did, and how we lost pay-per-view and the Derek Chisora on Box Nation, not sanctioned by the board, we've all somehow come round full circle to Anthony Joshua winning gold, and the heavyweight scene didn't look any better, couldn't look better. And of course you had Tyson Fury come in. But yeah, it was a funny time. It was a funny 10-year period in British boxing, this was.
They dug up fucking John Ruiz as well for David Haye.
I was just going to say, was that before Audley?
I think that was before Audley, because that was pay-per-view as well, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Steve, I think he won. He beat Valuev in Russia, which was a brilliant win. Let's have it right, because no one else could do it. And then that's where I think David Haye fell off the cliff, Rob. I think that's where he fought Monty Barrett Andy Ruiz, John Ruiz.
John Ruiz,
And then he
first ever
fought
stoppage
Audley
loss for
Harrison.
John Ruiz.
Yeah. Audley
Was
Harrison.
Storm and
And
Norman
Audley-
still with John Ruiz at that stage? Because I would have liked to see a David Hay versus Storm and Norman fucking face off. I feel like I missed out on that one. Like, yeah, I agree with you, Des. Yeah. Look, Hay was very, very clever. He was getting to the money, wasn't he? He was getting to the bag. He was a cruiserweight campaigning at heavyweight. He knew how to earn a pound note. Even remember he came. You're talking about his heavyweight. Remember he came back and he had like a 3-fight run on fucking Dave or something, and it was all just like,
right, against Mark tomorrow.
Right. And, then
and it was all,
human password.
the Swiss guy with like
a guy who one of the guys had learned to box from watching YouTube, and
that was Mark
managed
tomorrow.
to and then the fucking arena was just full of like babe station birds and fucking page 3 models. Like there was no fight fans in there. It was just wasn't
and all, hadn't he?
yeah.
Right, yeah.
Oh, he'd hooked up with a lot of people, I think.
Didn't that give David Hay the platform to fight Tony Bellew? And then going into that
you're right.
fight,
Yeah, you're right.
People genuinely feared for Tony Bellew's safety, but it was a complete turnaround. And then and he had Shane McGuigan in the corner, and his Achilles went. What a strange time in British boxing.
That was a right weird one, wasn't it? Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve, Audley Harrison is coming for you because he signed up for his own Substack to compete against yours. Yeah, that's what he said. I was looking up his little Instagram, and he said that he's signed up his own Substack, so he wants everybody to follow him. He's got a lot of things to say about boxing and life. So he might be. You need to subscribe to that.
Definitely do. Definitely need to follow along to that one.
For anyone that's interested, sorry, Steve, I know you're trying to get out of here. For anyone that's interested, by the way, I was right about Richard. It was Trinidad was found stacking the gauze and the tape into kind of cinder blocks on the glove, which was against New York Commission rules. So they had his hands rewrapped, and suddenly that power disappeared.
Well remembered, Rob. I honestly didn't remember that part of it. The other bits, yes, but not the.
I can't even remember what happened yesterday. But if you asked me about a fight 25 years ago, I know what the fuck.
You're as bad as me. You're as bad as me. Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, final one. This might lead us down a rabbit hole as well. It's a lot of people's point into boxing. James, if the graphic comes up, I will hit you with this one. Same day as Audley versus Matthew Ellis, but 11 years later, 31st of May 2014. If Froch had ever landed a flusher, sweeter right hand than this, we never heard about it. 80,000 people packed into Wembley. A big rematch.
He's an absolute legend, isn't he, for just making that into a decade-long parody, man. It's pretty classic.
El Spago.
Well, this was obviously it doesn't get much perfect than that, does it? As a sign after your career, like Froch was really, I mean, he'd earned his reputation as an Iron Man, really, and only Andre Ward, potentially Andre Durrell, out of a run of however many fighters, just went to war with Mikhail Kessler. Like unbelievable fights. And in the first fight, George Groves came out of nowhere. Obviously, really heavy-handed, amateur pedigree. He'd been through the James DeGale big rivalry, had experience on a big stage under the bright lights. And it was just young versus old. Both of them pretty arrogant, but Froch was just astonished that this young upstart would have the bollocks to go at him the way he did. I mean, it was classic TV on that ringside episode where Froch is incandescent with rage. Like he doesn't know what to do.
Is he going to cry at him?
So that was just perfect. And then for Groves to perform the way he did, dropping Froch so heavily in the first round of their first fight, and then for it to unravel slowly but steadily with the help of Howard Foster, it just built into this massive occasion. This was the start of the return to stadium fights. And you couldn't have asked for a better rivalry. Their personality clashes, the way they fought. There was real tension between them. You can always, it's classic boxing folklore, isn't it? We can all have a push and a pull, pushing each other on the Wembley pitch. It's classic. It's well up there with Ben and Eubank for me in terms of a rivalry and what a finish to the fight.
He gives a great breakdown of it on. I've said before, I find it hard to listen to Andre Ward post retirement. And Steve will know I was the fucking chairman and captain of the fucking Andre Ward Appreciation Society when he was an active fighter, but he drives me mad listening to him. But I'm just getting more contrary as I get older. I'm going to put it down to that. But him and Froch, he had Froch on the podcast, and it's a brilliant listen because they're talking about the fight with each other, and Froch talks about that fight with Groves, and he says like he did really train. He had injuries everywhere, and he just thought like he was going to smash him from pins, and then got pinged around the ring for fucking 6 rounds, and just thought like, Groves couldn't put me away, so I know I'm going to get him in the rematch. But the way he's talking about it again, he's giving it all the 85,000. El Spaco landed that right hand on him. But I have to say, Froch is what I've actually warmed to. You know, Gonzo, when he was Gonzo, like with the fucking pointy nose and everything, and he was winding up, and I couldn't tell whether it was a stick or not. I used to lay a waste to Carl Froch, although I always give him his credit as a great fighter, but just personality wise. But when I figured out like he's in on the fucking gig, he's in on the joke here, like he's actually brilliant, isn't he? Like, to listen to, he's a good character, like gives good content, and he's pretty honest in his opinions as well on the sport, like when he's not taking the soup off Sky anymore and he's giving his own opinion straight on the YouTube. Like I've actually warmed to Froch, not that that's going to make any difference to him when he's sleeping on his big bed of millions. What the fuck I think about him, you know, that way. Doing Ryanair. My main gripe was with him that he complained to Ryanair because he was finally marrying the bird, wasn't he? And Ryanair fucking charged him extra for the baggage or something when he was going. And I thought, what are you fucking going getting a Ryanair flight for your wedding?
Or the onion rings. Remember that one with Ty Ambu?
Yeah. Not paying for that. Not going halves on the meal. He only had onion rings. He's a tight get, any Froch, fuck's sake. Getting a Ryanair flight to his wedding, he multi-millionaire. Fucking bollocks. Oh, fucking
I like the number one comment on YouTube for the knockout is, he said, this is a great knockout. He said, I'm surprised that Carl never brings it up.
Well, him and Ward are talking, and Ward says, "You bit," and I never knew about this. He's like, "You bit me in that fight," and he's like, "I did, yeah, bit you." Yeah. He's like, but he goes,
did he really?
He said, but in fairness, that was on the other side of the referee. He goes, he bit him on the shoulder, so he's showing it back. He's like, I was just getting frustrated, couldn't get near you, so I decided I was having a chunk out of you. Brilliant.
Flip me. There we go. Good stuff, boys. Good stuff. Right, let's move on to the previews for next week, and then we shall get out of here. I know Justin has expressed a bit of an interest. We're not going to go in depth on, well, quite a lot of these, really. We'll just have a quick look just to mention them in case you are sitting at home listening to this during the week and wondering what you want to watch or avoid. More to the point, May the 29th, Uzbekistan. Ahmed Aliyev is back after he's lost to Inoue.
Fucking all of us you can avoid by the looks of it.
Well, Basie Ramirez is back, Rob. Don't worry about that. He's out the top rank contract as well, fighting in a 10-rounder. Oh, this is Matty's Fair on ESPN Plus. Stephanie Han against Holly Holm. Bullshit Miss Han Man. Amanda Serrano's in action as well against Cheyenne Hansen. Francisco Rodriguez Jr. on May the 30th against Cordova. That's a WBC flyweight eliminator. Rodriguez.
Polo Young's on the undercard of that one, Steve.
He's with Williams as well.
O'Hara.
Oh, dear me. Rodriguez was the cheat against Yafai, but he seems to have managed to wing his way back into an opportunity. Kevin Lorraine, I mentioned him earlier, is in against Riyad Murhi for the WBC Bridgeweight title. Murhi once had an absolute dire fight against Anderson, Big Baby Anderson. That was a terrible one. Fort Lauderdale, this is for you here, Justin. Nothing but sports. Yuriorkis Gamboa's back, and so is Guillermo Rigondo. Come on.
Viva Cuba. Viva la Revolution.
I just randomly saw that on, I think it was on Facebook or something. In 8 rounders too, which is, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Who cares? I don't know what the fuck's happening. That's stupid as hell, but they're back.
See, you can get fooled by optics because if you watch Rigondo on Insta, and Linares for that matter, like they're always in camp, aren't they? And they're in the gym and they look fucking amazing. You're going, oh, they look like they can still do it. And then you remember they're fucking 90 years of age. This could go fucking terribly wrong.
And Rigondeaux had his face burned off like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Didn't an egg blow off his face or something? Fucking all the bad shit that happened to him, and it fucking gets hit by an egg.
He still keeps coming.
Boiled egg took the jaw off him. Jazza Dickens should have just brought one of them little fucking survival fucking camp fucking, you know what I mean?
Lovely stuff. There we go. So anyway, we'll get on with that. What's the first name of the heavyweight? I couldn't remember his name. There, Big Baby Anderson. What's his first name?
Jared, isn't it? Jared.
Jared. I was calling him Jeremy, Jeremiah.
It doesn't really matter, Steve, at this point.
No, it doesn't really matter, does it? He's irrelevant to us now. Him and Torres after they got knocked out. Let's have a look at the beef Everything's running a little bit slow tonight, but we'll get there. Here we go. Right, Des, I'll hit you with this one first. We'll have a bit of a crack at these quickly. Charlie Edwards returning next Friday evening, I think it is. IBF Junior Bantamweight, a super flyweight to me eliminator. He's in against Siko Nukathole. The winner of this will become the mandatory challenger for the winner of Willibaldo Garcia, if that's a real person, apparently so, and Andrew Maloney. This one's in the York Hall on DAZN. Edwards was last seen getting a win in Dublin after losing to Andrew Kane, whereas Nukathole from South Africa is on a 3-fight winning streak. Edwards is a bit of a runner himself, isn't he, Des, from what I remember?
He is, and Siko will be as tough as teak. Smaller South African fighters are normally very, very tough, very durable. I don't think he punches hard enough to catch Edwards out. I don't think he's good enough to get to Edwards, because you're right, he's on the back foot all the time, Charlie Edwards. I think Charlie Edwards will have enough to see out a decision against Siko, but he won't stop him. But I don't know much about Siko, but having looked at his record, knowing where he comes from, I think it'll be a tough fight. I think it'd be like a sheet of iron, but I think Charlie wins it by decision.
I absolutely agree. I think it's got 12 rounds written all over it. Edwards, maybe down the stretch, might have a few problems, but I expect him to get through in the end. May the 30th in Russia. They were talking originally, Justin, about this one being in the Pyramids, and then someone said that Usyk didn't want a Russian as chief support or something, and I thought, that's a load of rubbish. Then the next thing, Bivol was thrown off, and he's over in Ekaterinburg. His ex-wife's called Ekaterina, so maybe that could be a portent for him. I think, considering what he's been through, the operation, he's been out of action, but a bit of a rest after the two hard Beterbiev fights, will maybe grant him this one. He's cashing in a bit of a respect chip, I think. Boxing's a tough sport. We'll maybe let him off this Eifert fight, do you think, Justin?
Well, I'm glad that he got thrown off the card, because we all know it's Bivol's fault about the war with Russia and Ukraine. That he's the one that caused it.
Absolutely is, yeah. Kick him off.
But this is it's a bullshit fight. You just summed it up. There's no point talking about it. He's going to absolutely destroy this guy, and we can just move on. There's just a tick over. Just had to do it.
Destroy by 12-round decision, you mean?
You would like to think that Bivol would pick up the pace a little bit. You're right. It'll probably go 12, though. Eifert, I've seen him fight like twice.
Pascal. He beat Pascal.
There's nothing about him that's going to cause Bivol even 30 seconds of trouble. So this is just a move-old waste of time.
He fought Pascal 3 years ago, James, and he's had one fight since Eifert. Do you think he's sitting waiting for his opportunity?
Just waiting for his chance, isn't he?
Paid to sit aside like Kabayel, the elite of the elite. Look, it's a pleasure to watch Bivol fight, even when he's like in second gear for 12 rounds. I've never heard of this person ever. So, I mean, but you deserve a pass after Beterbiev. So, whatever. It's cool.
Absolutely. What are you saying, Rob? It'd be nice if he put the foot down. Was it that Zinad who annoyed him in Saudi Arabia, Bivol? Do you remember? He battered him.
No, he stopped him. Yeah, that was. I won a few quid on that, because it was just pure percentages. I was like, this fucker, he can't take everyone the distance. Like, a guy this good, he's going to stop one of them along the way. Like, I've been backing him to get a few stoppages, but it was good. It was good return actually on that one. Maddie would have loved it. But I bet fucking Michael Eifert, like, I don't know what his relationship status is, but I'd say if he was looking for the hop, if he got into the DMs of Kate Bivol, he could come up trumps there. Like, I think ahead of that fight, if he really wanted to fucking get her
on the live stream, the haters live stream.
He want to AB it, like, I bring her to the ring with him, like fucking, like he did with Malnazi and the side stick. Like, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Eifert, if he really wants to get in Bivol's head, he needs to get Kate Bivol in the corner, wrapping his hands or something. Wrapping anything.
Stacking.
Tinder blocking. That's about as exciting as that fight again. I'm very surprised to see Bivol fighting a guy of that caliber. I guess it's a homecoming gimme, isn't it? Like, but Bivol, one of the best guys in the sport. It's funny because my little one's after taking up boxing now, and she's constantly sending me Instagram reels. But she was sending me clips the other day of Bivol. Did you ever see this fella? I'm like, hold on, kiddo. What the fuck are you talking about? You know what your dad's been doing for the last fucking 10 years every Sunday night? Of course, I've seen fucking Bivol before. Could have been doing worse, I suppose.
Long as she doesn't stumble upon Kate's videos of the voodoo dolls when she's putting the pins into the little Bivol doll.
I just hope she doesn't get that much into boxing that she goes back and starts listening to old episodes of boxing. So put it that way.
Yeah.
It's like, who is this fucker raising me? Jesus.
Nobody needs that.
At least she didn't send you a video of Eifert saying, "Dad, look at this guy."
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Could have been worse. Like,
Could have been worse indeed. Des, obviously we're looking past Eifert, unfortunately for him. He's got a good job. He's a bit of a mover, but they're talking this week about Bivol maybe fighting Callum Smith. Now that Zach Chelly has sort of cleared David Morello out the way. The Beterbiev third fight. Is Beterbiev falling apart at the seams? Feels to me like he's put together by sellotape at this stage. Maybe Benavidez coming down. Would he stay up at cruiserweight? Is it more about the next fight, Des, than disrespectfully getting rid of Eifert?
Yeah, with no disrespect to Eifert, yeah, I think this is just routine for Bivol. And perhaps, Steve, without being an old curmudgeon about it, perhaps we won't see Bivol in another big fight. We all, if you take your mind back to them two Beterbiev fights, we said this might be the end of both of them because they were two brilliant fights and they put themselves through it. We might not see, because, Benavidez is all wrong for Bivol. I don't think Bivol can go up and fight Opataya. I don't think Callum Smith offers anything to Beterbiev or Bivol. I don't think we should see Bivol or Beterbiev again. They've one apiece, and it was an epic double. So don't be surprised if Bivol's not just picking up a few quid now, a homecoming here or a Riyadh season there, and that might be him just bowing out now. I don't expect to see Bivol in a big fight purely because I don't think he could be easily made. I think there are too many good fighters in different directions. I think Bivol's probably not in that place now to take on them big tests like a Benavidez or an Opataya. I'm not saying he can't beat a Benavidez, but at this stage in his career, I'm not quite sure he'd take that sort of challenge on.
Good stuff. We'll try and get hold of that one. Not sure who's showing it, to be honest, but we will endeavour to get it to you. If you're on patreon.com/Boxing Asylum, you might get it a little bit easier. Just saying. Let's move on quickly here. Justin, in Houston, Texas. This is on DAZN. Oh, they are. It's on DAZN, the Bivol fight. It says right in front of my very eyes. Also on DAZN on the same night, later on in the evening, is from Houston, Texas. Oshaki Foster defending his WBC junior, what do they call these things? So that's super featherweight, isn't it? Title against Raymond Ford. Ford was supposed to fight Kakachi. Kakachi pulled out, and now Ford is getting a straight shot. I think this could be an interesting fight, but one for the purists, maybe. I think it's fair to say, very much like our friend Bivol, Justin, this one might go to the decision.
It's definitely going 12 rounds, and I think Foster wins. Because I think we talked about this a lot last week, too. I think Foster just has a little bit more. So I believe Foster in this one. It will go 12 rounds. I don't think anybody's getting knocked out in this one.
Good stuff. James, you were maybe a bit of a Ford fan. I don't know. You were mentioning earlier about a possible fight with Lomachenko. He's lost to Nick Ball, was pretty close. It was a good fight. I actually thought Ford won that fight on the night. He was losing to Otabek Kolmatov, came back in the last round. He likes to keep things close, Ford, but he hasn't been the most active over recent years. Foster a favourite for you?
I like both of these fighters, I think there's an old school element to the way both of them fight. They're pretty slick, but they're hittable as well. They're fairly adventurous. I like Oshaki Foster a lot, and I think he might get the decision in this one. But I don't know. It's a pick and fight, really, and the type of fight that you want to see because obviously not the same caliber. But, we were talking about B-Hop and Roy Jones earlier. You want to see commensurate fighters. I'm not into... I know Dimitri Bivol's got the Eifert fight, but that's one give me after however many top-level opponents. And I think Foster and Ford is more like what we should expect on a regular basis rather than what we get sometimes. So I'm all for the fight, and I think Foster just...
Yeah, Boxrec thinks it's quite close as well, Rob. I know we don't put much stock in them, but 51% to Foster, 44% to Ford, and then obviously the other percentage is likely the draw. He's a bit of a throwback fighter, Foster. He's done things the hard way. He's had the trouble early on, but he's effectively unbeaten since 2016. I'm putting him at 10 years unbeaten. I know he got the loss to Conceição, but it was a bit of a strange fight. The judging was a bit all over the place. I think we chalked that off. Look at Foster in the other fights, beating Fulton, dominating him in his last fight. He's 10 years unbeaten. He's matured into a really nice champion.
Yeah, like Oshaki Foster. It's just a bit of a pity for him. He was kind of had his career on his own, isn't it? It's like he never had the chance. He never had the kind of HBO or PBC or fucking Showtime exposure. He's kind of rotted on an app. That's why the general public don't know who he is. But he's a decent fighter. Raymond Ford's a decent fighter too, but I think Foster would have enough to get past him in Houston, Astrodome or wherever the fuck it is. Where is it? Houston, we have a problem.
In the Fertitta Center. What's a Fertitta?
Of course. I don't know, but it sounds like I'd like it.
Tillman Fertitta is the Italian ambassador. No, it's not him. Fertitta Center. I don't know, Rob, to be honest, but I'm down with it. Sounds nice, doesn't it?
I'm down to visit the Fertitta Centre any day you want to go, Steve. Let me know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Shaggy Foster, good fighter, nice style, like him. And I like Ray Ford too, because it's Ray Ford. Ray Ford beat that little lad, didn't he? What's his name? Nick Ball. Didn't get the decision for Ray.
I thought he wouldn't. Yeah, I thought he wouldn't.
Yeah, that was one of the worst decisions I've ever heard of a history of boxing, that one. It's an in joke for the asylum listeners there. Anyway, go ahead.
Indeed. Let's see if they're listening. Go ahead. So Des, last one. Foster fought in San Antonio in 2023. He's been on the road for the last 5 fights. Oh, no, he fought in San Antonio in his last fight as well, so just ignore everything I said. In the Frost Bank Centre, some names, these things. This is going to be an economical fight, isn't it? And Ford always does just enough to lose in the big ones against the better fighters, which leads me to believe Foster's going to do it.
That's my take as well. I think Ford he looks to be so technically correct, and I think both of these are really good kids. But I think Foster will be good at outworking Ford in their moments when Ford's trying to reset and throw the perfect punch. So I just think it's a 12-rounder. It's 2 very good kids, but I think Foster and Foster being at home as well, having the crowd, and his trajectory is really on the up. I think he'll work in them spots and he'll catch Raymond Ford out. And I think he'll win by about 4 or 5 rounds, just through his outworking of Raymond Ford, who does switch off sometimes. If he'd have been a bit more proactive and a bit more, if he'd have started a bit faster, the Nick Ball fight would have been out of sight. He'd have won that clearly. But he does either, I don't know if it's showing your opponent a bit too much respect or overthinking it or not getting going quick enough. But I think that will cost him against Foster, who works really well and works really hard.
Completely agree. Right, final one, guys. I'm turning into one of those wanker YouTubers, aren't I? Calling everyone guys. Drop a like onto the YouTube stream, and we'll get a Belly of the Week if we get 50 next week. I'll probably do it anyway, to be honest, so I wouldn't even worry about it. The final fight, Des, you're unmuted, so I might as well go to you. BBC London. I think it's the final one of the BBC deal. Ben Shalom was saying they had a 3-fight deal, and this is maybe the 4th or 5th, which was an indication that it's going quite well. Adam Azim against Steve Claggett is the latest fight. Azim's 24. He hasn't fought in about 6 months. That's not really too major these days. I think it's a nice little ticking over for him. Hopefully the next time. People are saying that he's treading water. He's wasting his career. He is only 24. He hasn't got the Sky platform. I think they're happy to keep him ticking over on the BBC and then putting him in a big fight maybe on one of the Riyadh season cards. I think he fought that Kurt Scobie on one of the undercards. And if he's happy being contracted to boxer, he might as well stay and sort of do that, make the money Des on the Riyadh season cards, but also headline on domestic TV and try and build himself up into a star. But they're going to have to get him a bit more active if that's going to be the case. Claggett being the first one next Saturday.
I totally agree with everything you just said. Adam Azim's a kid, and he's a very successful fighter, British champion, European champion. He's only 24. And with Dalton Smith winning that world title, it's allowed Dalton to move on. Dalton can now talk about big fights at world level on the back of that brilliant win in New York, which probably gives Adam Azim a bit of breathing space now. Says we ain't got to keep talking about each other. We ain't got to keep chasing fights between 2 guys on different networks with different promoters. We can now do our own thing, stay in our own lane. And I think Adam Azim's lane for the next 2 years probably looks like getting him out 3 times a year. So I agree, he's got to be a bit more active. Against guys like Steve Claggett, it's progressive matchmaking. Steve Claggett is coming out of world level. Adam Azim will beat them guys and beat them well. He'll probably stop them because he's got really fast stands. He's a spiteful puncher. Claggett will be there to be hit. And if Adam, over the next 2 years, can build up 6 of them type of wins, he'll get himself in a really strong position. And then whoever's at the top of the pole, I think it'll be right time at Adam at, say, 26, to step into that sort of that space. But for now, there's plenty of time for him. And that doesn't mean he's got to have gimmies, but he's got to have some really bit of progressive matchmaking over the next 2 years. Activity is really important. I agree with you, Steve. I think he beats Claggett. I think he stops him.
I think that'd be a decent statement, James, if he stops Claggett. Not a massive statement, but Claggett, I know he's had about 10 losses and it looks stupid, but he went to 12 with Teofimo. He's a good, honest pro. He's limited skills, but he's fit. He can hit to the body. He's fairly durable. If Azim can get rid of him late on, I think after getting a few rounds off him, I think it's a decent tune-up this before a bigger fight, actually.
Well, he's perfectly capable. Like, I like Azim. I think he's razor sharp, and I think he's pretty creative. I've just been glancing at the rankings, and Claggett might seem like a bit of a stay busy fight, or maybe even a step down. But I mean, think of the people that are in that top 10. There's like Davis, Stevenson, Hitchens, Lopez. Like, these are serious fighters, man. So there's risk all around him at the moment. And how do you keep him out there and viable and current in people's minds? I think you have to take a fighter like Claggett and hope he looks impressive, similar to the Hamzah Sheeraz formula we were talking about earlier. You know, he's been linked a lot with Dalton Smith, who's, you know, near the top end of that list following that win against Matthias. And I hope that fight does take place. But right now, I think Azim, I mean, he's where he's supposed to be at the back end of the top 10, realistically. And yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. What it's going to tell us long term for him, I don't know really, because he needs to take that next step up, maybe against the Matthias, who's already been cracked by Smith as a comparison as well, to build that fight in the future.
Yeah, that's a good shout, actually. I think if he gets past Claggett, Matthias, yeah, that's actually a really good shout. I think they should be looking to make that, if Matthias wants to become that kind of guy. Rob, obviously, we're looking at that Dalton Smith fight, but I think with the ages, I just have a feeling that won't align. Promotional differences, different stages of their careers, just different trajectories. I don't think they'll fight, actually.
Who are we talking about fighting Dalton Smith?
Dalton Smith and Prince Azim.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. It's funny that he's fighting Steve Claggett, because I can only hear Steve Claggett's name read in Ozzie Smith's voice when I say it in my head, Steve Claggett. It's like he's one of them. It's like I would not know.
Fucking hell! Is that what the best they can do?
Steve Claggett. It's one of them, like, isn't it? Charlie FM. They don't mess with the daddy love. No, I think Adam Azim. He's one of the guys, again, I was kind of excited about him at the start, but it's surprisingly not fucking catching fire. I think like, a lot of this is down to their zone, isn't it, as well? Like, these guys that don't get seen, like, but yeah, Adam Azim, I don't know him. I rated him anytime I saw him. I thought he's capable. I just want to see him in against good opponents. I'd expect him to stop a Steve Claggett, but then what does the Dalton Smith fight really do for him? Even if he was to get past that, I think you're right. Like, he needs to be looking elsewhere, looking over the Pyramids of Giza at Eddie Hearn's wig blown off. That's what he needs to do.
The best Azim moment for me, Rob, wasn't even him, but whenever he fought that Danish African guy, Paulson, or whatever you called him, and they brought him into the ring after Azim had won. Paulson jumps in the ring and goes, "Yeah, get me some of these ring card girls on Sky TV."
Yeah, an idea.
Get me some of these ring card girls, my man.
Yeah, let's cut to the chase here.
Need to bring him
Reminds
back.
me of our friend that we were talking about earlier, David Hay. Didn't he have a famous quote about ring card girls in his autobiography? And he was like, sometimes when I was watching the ring card girls, I couldn't believe how they got in there. Like, how are these mingers getting paid for holding up the numbers? Something like that, wasn't it? How are these dogs getting a job? Something like that. Very good. It
was distracting him, wasn't it, from the fight or something?
Yeah. Understandable.
Wants to get himself down to the Devonish.
Standards.
Indeed. Oh, Justin, I had a question for you, but I can't quite remember what it was. So I'll just hitch off the back of MB's comment. Shout out to MB in the chat there. Steve Claggett is all action. This should be a very fun fight. If Claggett comes to fight, he's only been stopped once in 8 losses. He's had a couple of draws. He's had good wins. He can punch a little bit. If he comes to fight, it should be. He'll bring out the fight in Azim, I think, Justin.
Azim should beat the hell out of him. Claggett sucks.
Seriously? You Canadian Brotherhood? Like Tony Luis? I keep thinking that was you, but it was Gabe, wasn't it? Yeah. Feather-fisted mofo.
Who allegedly can't punch Tony Luis.
Good stuff. Right, I think that'll do. That's everything that I've got. Unless anybody wants to throw anything else in, I think we'll hook it for tonight. The floor is yours. If you do, speak now.
No, but I have a cracking one for you. Asylum After Dark.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Right, thanks very much, everybody. We've had a good time, haven't we? Matty has left me in the hot seat, and I'm glad to be back. Des was with us. Thanks for jumping on there, Des. Rapping Rob Kelly. James as well, and Justin. Matty will be back next week as far as I know. If we get 50 likes on this particular episode, even if you're only listening on the podcast, go over to YouTube. Come on, 50 likes, and I'll do a value of the week. I've got the material sitting. I just need the motivation from you, the dear listener, to go and put it together. And that is exactly what I do. I've been Steve Wellings. We'll catch you all again, same time, same place next week. And bye for now.